All right. All right. Let's go. Who is CYRAXX? I'm
Like many other lolcows,
ready and
CYRAXX
willing.
didn't just come about in a vacuum. If anything, he is the closest we've ever come to a purebred lolcow. Born Patrick Smith on September 20th, 1990, CYRAXX claims he was born at just 26 weeks, weighing only 1 pound and 12 ounces, with only 1 kidney and 1.5 lungs, and with 1 blind, lazy eye. At least in part, this is because his mother, Connie Lobdell, was herself challenged to some extent. CYRAXX's grandmother, Sally, claimed she was fully disabled, although it's unclear what that means, while his father described her as someone with ADHD and another unnamed condition. He specified that it took him 3 years to teach her how to drive a car, which suggests some degree of intellectual limitation.
Wait, how do you ascribe yourself ADHD and some other condition that you don't know about? How does that work? Like, how do you know that you have the other condition if it doesn't have a name? Like, why? Like, that's so... okay, that's a weird thing to go for.
Many speculate he suffers from fetal alcohol syndrome, though due to Connie's potentially impaired condition, there's hardly any way to hold her accountable for that. His father, on the other hand, is a very different story. In 1994, Rupel Mark Smith, the original legal name of CYRAXX Sr., was arrested. While accounts on this vary, with CYRAXX himself saying his father went to jail the day he was born, the records available put his arrest at when CYRAXX would have been 3 or 4 years old. On July 26, a 14-year-old girl was raped by an unknown man who chased her off a bike path for around 50 feet. According to a person who identified as the unnamed victim, he'd already been stalking her prior to the assault, which meant it was premeditated and suggestive that he'd probably done something like this before. She gave a detailed description of the attacker and his blue 10-speed bike to the police, who prepared a composite sketch. When presented with photo lineups, the victim picked Rupel out of both of them. The sketch was then published in the local newspaper and ended up being seen by Rupel himself just 2 days after the attack. Fortunately, the intellectual acumen of the Smith lineage was already being exhibited, as Rupel decided to call the police himself and identify himself as extremely similar to the man depicted, only to say he wasn't responsible and had an alibi. Regardless, this was enough for the person taking his call to report him to their supervisor, leading an officer to be sent to where Rupel was residing. Upon arriving at the residence, the blue 10-speed bike was seen, an exact match for the one that was at the crime scene. Once the officer became more accusatory toward Rupel, his responses were incriminating. Apparently, while he didn't outright...
So he basically gave himself up. He thought it would be smart to call into there and say that he didn't do it, and then that's how they found him. And good, as they should have. Just saying.
Confessed to the assault. He said something tantamount to an admission of kidnapping, dragging the victim across the road against her will. After that, Rupel asked for an attorney, but what he said at that point was enough for an arrest and trial, during which a jury convicted him of kidnapping, sexual assault, and sexual abuse of a minor. He attempted to appeal his convictions, but ultimately failed and had to serve a total of 20 years in prison. This is relevant because it meant that, with Rupel out of the picture due to his arrest, and Connie being unfit to care for a child with her disability, someone else would have to raise CYRAXX. That someone ended up being his grandmother, Sally, who moved Patrick out of Alaska and into her humble home in Akron, Ohio. Oddly enough, Sally had been in...
God damn it. What are you up to, Alex? We were watching chases earlier, and I needed your expertise.
A strangely similar situation to that of Rupel's, only on the receiving end. As we can learn from an article in a local Alaskan newspaper, Rupel's father, and Sally's first husband, is a man named William Bill Smith, born in 1941. According to public records, Sally was born in 1952, and Rupel was born in 1969, meaning she was 17 when she had him and just 14 when she got married to Bill, who was 25 years old, the exact same age Rupel had been when he committed his crime. What's worse is that Rupel had older siblings, though records on how many are difficult to find. We know that at least one of them was also named Bill, who ended up simultaneously suffering from AIDS and cancer until he passed away in 2015. Just so you know, when I say CYRAXX is a purebred lolcow, I mean generations of extremely unfortunate circumstances have coalesced to bring him forth. Via newspaper clippings of one of Sally's brother's obituary, we can determine her maiden name is Arntzen, but when she took CYRAXX in to raise him, she was married.
I've heard this. You're telling me this guy isn't the product of inbreeding? I guess he may not, man. I've watched documentaries on the Whitakers, and this guy would slot in very nicely there. And I'm not making fun or anything, but I'm just saying.
married to another man named Gordon Wilkins and took his last name.
I find it hard to believe.
To rename CYRAXX accordingly, calling him by the name he went on to use for the entirety of his life.
This is Chance Finley Wilkins talking to Nicholas Ziegler.
Okay.
What you fail to realize, Nick, is that I made you.
From Patrick Smith to Chance Wilkins, from Alaska to Ohio, CYRAXX wasn't even 5 and was already undergoing some radical transformations. In his recollection, he had a very rough time at school, with people bullying him and giving him swirlies due to his appearance.
Sure.
I was supposed to die the day that I was born. And when I was born with 1 kidney and 1.5 lungs. And, you know, growing up through school, you know, I did get picked on. I got
death threats in school.
Judged. You know, I got beat up every day.
Yay,
I was that kid
Texas
that was an outcast in
Christians.
high school.
But, as we will learn in full detail, Chance isn't an entirely reliable narrator, since contrary to his claims, it seems he did
I'd have
indeed
never
have friends
guessed.
during his school
I
years.
would have
In an
never
interview with
guessed.
Elspeth, a friend of CYRAXX's from high school, she said,
We met quite literally in high school. We had a mutual friend in common, and that's how we met.
According to Elspeth, Chance and his group of friends bonded over their interest in dancing, so much so that she herself is a trained ballet dancer. She recalls an instance where they both performed a piece called The Dueling Dancers at the school's talent show, but unfortunately there's no footage of this event. When they weren't at school, they usually met up and hung out at the house of their aforementioned friend, Billy Seiler. Billy was a short, legally blind African-American student, and CYRAXX described him as a closer friend than the rest of the group. After all, Billy was the one who introduced him to Linkin Park, one of CYRAXX's favorite bands. Months before any of his followers...
R.I.P. Oh shit, what's his name? Fuck, I should know that. I feel bad for not knowing that. It was like the singer, right, that died like a year or two ago. It was weird because he appeared on Good Mythical Morning, and then not but a couple of months later Chester. Okay, I should have known that. Slipped my mind.
It's CYRAXX's story with Billy. CYRAXX spontaneously brought it up, saying,
Unfortunately, when I was 16 to 17 years old, around that time period, I was actually by one of my best friends from high school. Now, at the time, I didn't know that he was gay. I had actually met this kid. His name was Billy Seiler. We had gone to the same high school together, and me and him grew really, really close. We were super cool with each other.
This is quite a claim to make, especially to bring it up as lightly as CYRAXX did. This was enough to arouse suspicion, but as time went on, the situation only worsened. In another retelling, CYRAXX mentioned that his family spoke to the school about what Billy supposedly did to him, and the school responded by kicking CYRAXX out so it wouldn't happen again.
They know what Billy did. That's why they removed me from that school, so it didn't happen to me again.
Though this isn't impossible, it sounds unlikely that the victim of such a circumstance would be the one getting kicked out of the school.
Yeah, that's a little odd.
That CYRAXX originally claimed to have been 16 or 17 when this took place, but he only changed high schools after 2009, when he would have been 19, meaning the time frame doesn't really add up. This discrepancy was confirmed by CYRAXX himself, who later changed it and said that, while Billy was underage, he himself was not.
CYRAXX, how are you not so pissed?
Yeah, it was crazy, right?
Like,
it's
I
like
think it's
very
insane. You should have never been expelled.
very close after that episode. It's like, oh fuck.
That's the thing. We tried to fight it, but due to the fact that he was underage and I was over
Oh my god, dude. I don't understand that. That's fucking bullshit.
People became suspicious, and since CYRAXX had already given this person's name out, they decided to look further into it. The information was enough to find Billy's Facebook and contact him, informing him of what CYRAXX claimed happened during high school. Once contact was established, what CYRAXX allegedly did to Billy became a matter of public knowledge.
You know, so we were up in my room, you know, it was late at night, probably 1 o'clock on a weekday. When it gets hot, you know, guys tend to take off their shirts and everything. I was either on my belly on the floor or...
God damn it.
Oh, yeah.
I want to, in Minecraft, did you hear that, YouTube? In Minecraft, punch the people that fucking make these ads in their face. This Ebony Online and Hero Wars, the game is nothing like this. I don't know how people, sorry, it's a little bit of a tangent, I don't know how they can get away with this shit, claiming that this is what the game is like, or heavily implying it anyway, because I've downloaded those games and this is not in there. This, or like the little like pull the pin, the lava comes down and all that shit, nowhere in the game. It's completely 100% not what the game is like at all. And I don't know how Ebony or Hero Wars, and I'm sure there are a few others, do this. I mean, it's false advertising, but whatever. Sorry, the shit pops up a lot, and now that YouTube is like blanket, you know, you have to have, or you have to let them show ads. You know, if you have an ad block, it'll just fuck everything up. I see these, and it's so fucking frustrating. Anyway, sorry. It's like the scummiest shit ever. Nice. I hate it. Skip.
I think I was searching for something, and the next thing
It should.
I know. And at this point, I had never given any type of consent whatsoever.
This all but confirmed in the eyes of many that at the ripe age of either 18 or 19 years old, CYRAXX had assaulted a disabled minor. What a great way to start the story. We have little to no information on what else Chance was up to during the 2000s, but we do know what his family was up to. His mother, Connie, remarried in 2002 and was living with a man named Michael. But just a few years later, in 2007, she tragically passed away while using a wood stove that didn't have proper piping, and because of this, it resulted in a house fire. Perhaps adding to the tragedy was the fact that she passed away on CYRAXX's 17th birthday. A little over a year later, the house Sally was living in with Chance was broken into, though there's no way to know if the perpetrator was ever found. In late 2009 to early 2010, CYRAXX created his first ever YouTube channel.
That was his grandparent? His grandmother that he was living with? Well, is that right? Did I hear that right? So she passed away by burning the house down with a wood stove? Probably from, what, smoke, carbon monoxide poisoning? So how the fuck is he, like, living then if he doesn't have her as a caretaker?
But it was nothing to write home about besides a few AMVs he made with freeware, and definitely stole from other people's content while doing so. The years of 2010 and 2011 were mostly uneventful, though CYRAXX made a few Facebook posts that contributed to the notion that he wasn't as bullied as he said he was, since he had multiple girlfriends during this period. He also shows his funnier side with jokes such as, Santa, ho,
two
ho,
girlfriends
ho, me.
in high school.
Damn, Santa has
like
3 hoes? What a man whore. One at a time, and they better get paid extra. You so fat and old, nasty. It's only in 2012 that things get intense, with CYRAXX abusing his grandmother, Sally. In a document retrieved via the Freedom
Wait,
of
who
Information
died?
Act.
Who the fuck died? I'm sorry. I need to go back because I completely missed that. Apparently, I'm sorry.
Little to no information on what else Chance was up to during the 2000s, but we do know what his family was up to. His mother, Connie, remarried in 2002 and was living with a man named Michael. But just a few years later, in 2007, she tragically passed away.
Not grandmother. Okay.
They didn't have proper.
Okay, his mother.
No way to know.
That was still in Alaska, right? So his dad diddled, for lack of a better word, and got 20 years. And then his mother, I guess, was still in Alaska, burned her house down with a wooden stove and died on his birthday. Okay, we're straight.
The perpetrator was ever found. In late 2009 to early 2010, CYRAXX were mostly uneventful, though CYRAXX made a few Facebook posts that contributed to the notion that he wasn't as bullied as he said he was, since he had multiple girlfriends during this period. He also shows his funnier side with jokes such as, Santa, ho ho ho, me. Damn,
I don't know
Santa
about
has 3 hoes? What a man whore. One at a time, and they better get paid extra. You so fat and old, nasty. It's only in 2012 that things get intense, with CYRAXX abusing his grandmother, Sally. In a document retrieved via the Freedom of Information Act, because yes, his followers are that dedicated, we have information on every time the police have been called in relation to CYRAXX's house. And on the 14th of February, a domestic fight was reported by Sally's brother, William Arnson. Chance is described as out of control and fighting with his mom before leaving the house and walking toward the freeway. It appears he attempted to choke or strangle his grandmother, but fortunately...
Now walking... freeway toward... What the fuck?
The report cites no injuries and no weapons. To this day, we don't know what exactly this was about or what happened, but we do have this mugshot to make up for it. In 2012, we have the first significant bouts of online activity from CYRAXX, who at this time went under the name of DJ Shadowblade, which he misspelled a variety of ways. One of these early manifestations was his war cry.
I can't... Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is.
Supposedly, this was him beating Chester Bennington's record of longest scream. Though what Chance did here hardly qualifies as a scream, more of I don't know. Sounds like me when the drive-thru takes longer than 3 minutes. A year later,
caterwauling?
23 years old.
Isn't that a word?
Caterwauling? We have a couple of videos from this time period, wherein he's doing basic parkour moves like handstands and wall jumps. CYRAXX claimed he had a GPA that was just a couple of points short of
caterwauling
and was at the top of his class.
Oh, look. Look at those fucking moves, man.
GPA that was just a couple of points short of 4.0 and was at the top of his class. But it didn't allow him to graduate because he didn't have a perfect 4.0 GPA and was too ugly to graduate.
All right, man,
so he
take it easy.
got kicked out of the school altogether. Another claim of his was that in this school, he was also severely bullied to the point where a bunch of students pushed him from a balcony. This, too, appears to be a lie, as explained by his aunt, who gave an interview explaining what had happened.
It was lunchtime, and these kids dared him that he couldn't jump something from the balcony.
The backflip. Okay, hold on. I had a question about this. After certain head injuries, like people fucking have dramatic personality changes at times. Do you feel like after the fucking head injury, like
what head injury? He didn't hit his head.
He smacked his head off he was like on the second floor when he did the backflip. It was like off the second floor.
He didn't hit his head. He landed on his side and broke his arm.
You see, in order to cover up from having taken a dare and stupidly jumping off of a balcony,
he
made up a fake story about the other kids having pushed him off of it. He went as far as lying to the police and actually accusing the other students of having done it, but when it turned out that he was lying, he was promptly expelled from the school, and his GPA being below 1 probably didn't help. In his later videos, he enjoyed telling this story as the source of his inexplicable talent, as if hitting his head on the concrete, which he didn't do since he landed on his side, made him into a musician. As is proven by his very own early uploads, this is a lie since he was already in the music grind, and particularly in the Juggalo scene as early as 2012. One of his earliest uploads still up on the internet has him long-windedly complaining about how strict and rule-oriented the Juggalo community was. This is most likely due to the fact that CYRAXX only feigned to be a Juggalo in order to be a part of the community and find friends, but
Juggalo, like, that's like a male escort kind of thing, right? Like, pretty much.
Had no idea what being a Juggalo was about, didn't listen to ICP or any artists related to them, and this was eventually proven by Juggalos who decided to quiz him on his ICP knowledge.
So I was just curious, what was your first album that you got into the clowns?
Wait, what? It's just a fan of ICP? How did I... What the fuck have I been thinking about my entire life? My whole, like, fucking reality has been shattered right now. What am I thinking? What the fuck? Is it Gigolo? No, that's... Okay, a Gigolo, Gigolo, is a male escort. A Juggalo is a fan of ICP. I had no idea. I'd always heard it called Juggalo. Or I assumed they were the same thing and, you know, different mispronunciations or different pronunciations. Wow. That's a really big piece of information that was completely altered in my mind now. Okay.
Or not, dude. It was...
I had no idea.
I'm trying to think. I want to say either Jekyll Brothers or Riddlebox. I can't remember which one it was that got me in.
So what did the cover look like?
Really, dude? Do you know how many years it's been since I've listened to that?
Sorry, I'm downloading this.
Still, it didn't prevent him from claiming he was in the family in the past decade. How dysfunctional do you have to be in order to struggle to meet the criteria for a Juggalo? The only community with lower standards than theirs is probably furries. No offense, just saying. While very little has been archived from...
I agree with him. I also think that furries can do whatever the fuck they want, but every single furry I've ever met, and I've met quite a many, they're interesting people, to put it nicely. I could have probably been one too. I was a huge Sonic fan. Sonic, like, way back in the day, that was like ground zero for furry, like, for furry culture to arise from. I'm glad I escaped that. I still love Sonic, but the fan base is interesting. Again, do whatever the fuck you want.
It's meant to dig towards the heavens.
Era due to how frequently CYRAXX deletes everything he has online, only to make a new account with a different name the following day. Judging from his very old and empty LinkedIn page, he claims to be a part of a Juggalo record label called Killa Clown Sounds ever since May of 2009.
Man,
as we can learn from his Facebook, his only prior occupations
were
abstract artist and painter at C. Wilkins Art and soldier's son. Given RuPaul's state of affairs, it's clear this is talking about Sally's husband at the time, Gordon Wilkins, who gave Chance his last name. Once again, deferring to his Facebook posts, he claimed to have dropped his first album, Blood on My Hands, in 2010 under the name of Kid Darkness. It looks like his sister was responsible for getting him into contact with the owner of the label, Eric Scrubolo, who signed CYRAXX out of pity. A little later on, it seems Chance also did a brief stint as a Christian rock artist, and if
this motherfucker got pity signed as an artist? I want that. God damn. I want to. What did he do? Is this a SoundCloud page? Ooh, interesting.
If this poster is anything resembling genuine, he performed somewhere. I really wish we had footage of this stuff, but in compensation, we have CYRAXX expressing his religious fervor in his very unique fashion. I swear, man, I wish I could give that no-good Satan and his demons a piece of my fist and foot in their mouths and shut them up for good. In a comment he left under this post, he also seems to believe that God killed the devil at some point. I'm not sure if that's in the Bible or if it's in his headcanon, but for a man as devoted to CYRAXX, I won't be the one to cast doubt on his theological knowledge. In another post from this time, he lamented his lack of success in the music industry, saying, "My name is Chance Wilkins, I'm 21 years old, with my mom working 2 days a week waiting tables in a little restaurant, and it's still not being enough to fully get by on bills, and me going through many hardships in life, I decided to do something to help all that. So I decided to get into music, and many people have judged me because I auto-tune my real voice to make it sound better, but I don't care, I still keep going, and I always will. I don't ask for much, I just ask for my dream to come true so I can help my family."
Let's see, being many hardships and then getting into music, and many people have judged him because he autotunes as well. I actually don't. I have no qualms with people that autotune or whatever. I don't know. I mean, it's if you can't sing and that's the kind of music you want to make, I actually don't give a fuck about any of that.
Kind of a sweet message, actually.
If you don't like it,
really
don't listen
stressful
to it.
carry his family on his back, since it's during this period that he begins developing his infamous skullet. He was convinced he was going to get paid up to $5 grand and that he'd be in every music magazine, but unfortunately this never happened. Even before people were actively trolling him with fake promises of fame and fortune for his music, CYRAXX proves to truly be one of a kind, as he tricks himself into these delusions for no reason without any outside interference. Another of his uploads from 2012 is a video called Inside the Shadows, which has CYRAXX giving an unrequested tour of his house to his non-existent audience. It's very aptly named since the lighting is horrid and you can barely make out what he's trying to show you. While the majority of content this early is completely lost and most likely rotting in the cursed confines of CYRAXX's hard drive, we do have an archive song he worked on. Given his slurring drawl
I'm ready.
during the track,
I'm ready.
and the beat sounds like if you converted a brain hemorrhage into an MP3, we can presume he was the producer. Check it out for yourself.
I'm ready.
Party, 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 party.
The smell of it is... In August, he claimed he was working on an album with...
I don't judge music. Maybe we know one person in the world that likes it. I think he should like his own music. I'm not going to judge.
With fellow Juggalo rapper Spitfire the Twisted Killer, who doesn't seem to actually exist. In early 2012, it appears he either was or wanted to be involved with a girl named Hannah, as we can see in a post of his where he apologizes to her for some unspecified wrongdoings of his, and performatively says she's the reason he didn't do something drastic the night prior. This appeal wouldn't stick though, and a while later, he not only starts dating, but supposedly gets engaged to a new girl named Heather, who appears to also be very into Juggalo culture and works on music with CYRAXX under the name of Shadowcat Hashlet. The names are so fire. In another music-related post, CYRAXX posted what he calls lyrics, but given it was decently formatted and didn't have a typo in every other word, it's obviously a ripped poem from a guy called Mark Slaughter, which we know because he forgot to take out the copyright notice at the bottom. It's clear he was very invested in his Juggalo phase, but didn't know exactly how to express it. For example, in one post where he shared a picture of a little girl with progeria, his way of being nice to her was saying he considers her a juggalette. But music wasn't the only artistic venue of CYRAXX, as in late 2012, he announced he was working on a manga series called Spectorbs, which was going to release in early to mid 2013, which did not happen. As time progresses, Chance becomes increasingly erratic. Perhaps because he learned the absolute basics of how to make music, it gave him an unrequited ego boost he had no idea how to handle. But early signs of the behavior he eventually became very well known for also started to show. We have this early 2013 clip of him addressing someone who apparently insulted one of his friends.
Talking all this crap and shit. This guy seems to think I'm hiding behind words, but I'm not. You hear that, Aaron? I'm not hiding behind anything, you little man. You want a little man? Look at you.
Like, I am fascinated because every time I see him, it's like I'm seeing him for the first time. I don't really know how to explain it any better than that.
You're nothing but a punk ass baby, hiding behind his own damn words, just too afraid to stand up to me like a real man.
Anyone with decent online experience knows there's no greater waste of time than engaging in keyboard warriorism, not to mention the fact that people who are belligerent online tend to be trolls that you stand nothing to gain from interacting with. But obviously this is hard to explain to CYRAXX. However, where a typical person sees a waste of time, Chance sees an opportunity to act like he's a WWE wrestler whose gimmick is talking like he just came out of a sludge puddle in the middle of a trailer park. From the get-go, it's very clear he gets a kick out of making threats of violence and pretending he can beat up people or kill them. Still, no matter how unlikable he gets, he keeps finding his way into new girlfriends, and by 2013, we finally get to see the face of Heather. Her first appearance is in a video he published on the very first day of 2013, where he announces he's abandoning the Juggalo lifestyle, but emphasizes he's still a part of the family.
Like, we're not going to stop being friends with any of the Juggalos, and that if you guys still want to be our friends, that's cool, but we just dropped the lifestyle.
Exactly. We didn't drop the family itself. It's the lifestyle itself that we drop.
Chance is very keen on giving himself an air of sophistication and seems to very consciously imitate the...
Okay, hold on. What the fu- I have to, like, educate myself on this shit. Right? So, what is the Juggalo lifestyle? That's very important. Because if I'm gonna react to shit, we're gonna take a little deep dive here. History. Okay, characteristics. No depression, goth clowns, true commentary of music lovers. With the strange and warped view of today's music scene and strong connection to modern hillbilly culture. Juggalos come from all walks of life, from poverty, from rich, from all religions, all colors. Doesn't matter if you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth or a crack rock in your mouth. Juggalos have compared themselves to a family. However, the subculture is most prominent in rural North America. Let's see. That is... I wasn't a big ICP listener, right? So I don't know. Okay. Here we go. Here's the lifestyle. Common characteristics of identifying as a member. Subculture is follows. Drinking and spraying the inexpensive Faygo. I only know what Faygo is from Boogie. Listening to horrorcore and other types of underground rap music. Okay. Wearing face paint, generally either like an evil clown or perhaps similar to corpse paint. Wearing hatchet gear or Chapter 17 branded clothes. What the fuck is hatchet gear? It's not oh, it's just whatever. Having Hatchet Man logo applied on the personal effects and die cast worn as jewelry. Doing hair in the spider leg style by the Twisted Members. Oh, I don't even know what the fuck that group of words means. Displaying the gesture of Wicked Clown and West Side sign with the left hand and C sign and African American Sign Language with arms crossed over. Okay, I think I know what they're talking about there. Responding with whoop whoop. calls. God damn it. Expressing a generally tongue-in-cheek obsession with murder committed with a blade weapon. Juggalos view the lyrics of psychopath record artists, which are often violent, as a catharsis for aggression. Okay. Well, that's what the lifestyle is, and they're no longer part of it. Fair enough. Let's go.
The kind of statements and manner of speech that actual artists exhibit during interviews, as if mimicking the way they talk is an effective way to become famous himself. Anthropologically
Fake it till you make
it's
it
fascinating to see a guy
ideology.
act out what is tantamount to a cargo cult of these celebrities he follows in real time. A little while later, Chance publishes another video, this time apologizing for having thrown the dog tags from his record label, Killa Clown Sounds, into a lake.
When we did the whole thing with the dog tags, it's because we were pissed off. We didn't know what the hell to do. We were only doing like my mom wanted us to do. She came up with the idea to throw them into the lake, and at the time it seemed like a good idea.
So why are they quitting the lifestyle?
Once again, I have to give some special attention to the cinematography. First off, if you pay close attention, the sad song from the ending of early Naruto episodes is playing in the background to accentuate the emotion of CYRAXX's apology.
Sure.
Secondly, he also has Heather ominously hovering around in the background to back him up, probably because he thinks having his girlfriend present makes him look cooler and legitimizes the things he says. He also subtly blames Sally for giving him the idea of throwing the dog tags into the lake, as if he had no choice but to follow her advice. Right. Not only does he neglect to mention why exactly they threw it in the first place, but he claims he's family with Eric and that he's the only reason they made it this far, despite the fact that CYRAXX has not made it anywhere, let alone somewhere far from his starting point of literally living in his grandmother's basement. Chance nonchalantly moved on from the situation and resumed his typical posting, with gems such as his live stream wherein he schizophrenically plays the piano and calls it classical composition.
Oh fuck, let's hear it. It's probably what, a $50 Casio keyboard.
Mwah. Beautiful. However, much later down the timeline, people decided to look further into CYRAXX's departure from Scrubbalo's label, only to discover what he was actually dropped for.
I've known him for close to maybe 10 years. And to be honest with you, in the beginning, I felt bad for the guy.
So this is the guy that got gave him like a pity contract, right? Just trying to get all this shit straight.
And he was trying to be a DJ, and I'm like, okay, man, well, I mean, I kind of feel bad for you. If you listen to my songs, you hear me shout out to Blade.
Yeah, he goes by CYRAXX now.
Yeah, that was stolen from me. I was gonna release an album called the CYRAXX Complex. He used to go...
I can say one thing about this, is that it pisses me off because I'll never be able to hear the name CYRAXX again without thinking of this individual. And CYRAXX is one of the most fucking amazing Mortal Kombat characters. I'm a katana player, fair enough, but CYRAXX, like, was the coolest fucking thing. CYRAXX and Sector. But now, it's like why I can't say I want to do chill streams, because it's very cringe, because DSP says that, and he's fucking ruined it. He's ruined it.
By Virus, which was also stolen from me. I don't know, man. He stole like 10 of my songs.
Jesus Christ. He just steals everything, right?
Yeah.
Besides these events, 2013 was a remarkably vacant year for CYRAXX, especially in regard to his social media activity. His Facebook has just a couple of posts. Apparently, after his departure from Killa Clown Sounds, he was then a member of another music group called Redcon 1. The last honorable mention of 2013 is another police report of a fight which Sally
Dude, I gotta get into
much later in the year, and we have no
some
way
of these music groups or
in
some
2014,
shit.
we have relatively few actual posts on his Facebook, but plenty of changes to his profile and background pictures, with doozies such as this Second Life character with some kind of lyrics to the side, and what seems to be a superhero character.
Hold on. See, you bring up this shit, and now I have to read it because they don't. Okay, the lyrics says, yeah, let's start paying attention to the red flags. They ask you for your help and showing the signs, but we just ignore them. Let's start paying attention, y'all. A lot of people may blink, may think it's a cop-out and that they can't hack it, but they ain't about that. To them, it's the last thing for everyone around them. Let's wake up.
character created by Chance called Red Phoenix. He also uses one of those free Yu-Gi-Oh card making websites to make cards for a bunch of new metal and emo bands. And while he continued to be associated with Redcon, he now titled himself as an anime illustrator and author for a series called Rinmaru Highlander, which doesn't exist. In one of his few archive posts from this time period, he claims to be an American soldier, which is something he adopted on account of his adoptive father, Gordon, as he was retired from the military. In May of that year,
yeah, you don't want to do that. So he thinks this is some kind of inherited aspect or something. Or is he saying I'm an American soldier, like in a general sense, maybe? No, actually, well, I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values. I'll always place the mission first. I'll never accept defeat. I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. It's a weird choice of words. Sort of Russian. Anyway, I'm disciplined, physically and mentally tough, trained in profic tasks and drills. I don't know what profic is, if that's a spelling typo. I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself. I am an expert and I am a professional. I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the enemies of America in close combat. I am a guardian of freedom in the American way of life. I am an American soldier. He doesn't technically ever say that he is in the Army, but saying you're an American soldier is clearly... Yeah. I mean, that's like a technicality, right? Because I could say like, oh, I'm a warrior for America, if like not necessarily that you're in the Army. I don't know. It's a weird thing, but yeah, maybe don't do that. That's probably not the best thing to do.
He began a new video series called Gamer Madness Monthly, which he never continues. In his first episode, he announces he will be working on a horror game called Possessions that will somehow simultaneously play like Resident Evil, Call of Duty, and Halo. In the same time frame, he posts another video complaining about the zero tolerance laws on fighting. I'm actually not sure what he's talking about here, but the gist of it is he's lecturing the then President Barack Obama on why the law needs to be changed so that people can defend themselves. I think this is a case of CYRAXX trying to chime in on a political topic, but misinterpreting what he was trying to talk about. This is very rich, since were it not for the fact that he was so visibly challenged, Sally could have charged him with assault for trying to choke her out a couple of years prior.
New eminence in the time of Obama, the impact of targeted killings on the law of self-defense. Oh, this, yeah, Obama in this aspect is a fucking complete piece of shit, and he like killed a lot of people with drones that shouldn't necessarily have been killed.
A few months of silence go by, and finally, we get to hear what CYRAXX sounds like when he's rapping. As you can see from the cover, this was a song done in collaboration with an unnamed third party in a group called Underground Assassins. And I'm guessing this other guy is responsible for the new metal screaming that shows up for a few seconds in the middle of the track. What's also noticeable is the creative liberties CYRAXX takes, such as saying the gamer word every other line, sometimes more than once in a single line. Not that we should have a problem with that, considering CYRAXX is from the hood and he does represent. His vocals seem sped up to fit in the track, which is strange because they still aren't anywhere in the vicinity of being on time. And it should also be noted that once again, this is all done over a Linkin Park beat. On the same day the track went up, CYRAXX also uploaded the first episode of a new series called Underground Show. And surprising absolutely no one, it's the same as all of his other shows where he just films himself with a handheld camera in a dark basement. Besides showing the art pieces he had made out of what looks like plastic beads, he explains that his...
Actually, in fact, did have grilled cheese and soup today. What are you up to?
Intention with this series in particular is to review things from the 90s or even before.
Oh, fuck this shit. That's disgusting. Oh, yeah. Fucking speak of it. Hero Wars. This is not in the game. It's completely false.
TV shows to video games. A few days later, he dropped a cover of the Linkin Park song Burn It Down, except he does grindcore type vocals instead of actually singing it.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
The song was uploaded as well, but the vocals don't sound like Chance, and the beat sounds too normal to be one of his, but it is mysteriously pitched up, so maybe that's his contribution to the track. 2015 rolls around, and the first half of the year is pretty much silent on his end, perhaps because in April of that year, Chance got involved in a physical altercation that resulted in him being slammed against a stop sign and allegedly hurting his back so bad he required emergency services to pick him up. It's unknown whether he ended up spending time at a hospital due to his injuries, but
well, he fell off a second floor balcony too. It didn't
there are
die.
no talks about beating people up coming from Chance. In a Facebook post made months after, he resented the police for not catching and arresting the man who beat him, as well as claiming the incident misaligned his spine and caused him to live in a continuous state of pain, despite the doctors who checked him out saying nothing was broken. By October, he had once again taken up the mantle of professional music producer, selling beats he had made for $1 a pop. Quite the steal. However, probably because none of the beats sold, he became quite upset and considered giving up on music altogether.
I'm going down the rabbit hole.
But my work as a music artist is done. I know I'm gonna upset and piss a lot of you off, but the music world is not where I belong anymore. I don't have the talent I used to have, and I'm sorry for those of you who are upset with this post, but my future lies in doing my artwork. As of this moment, I am done with music for good. Again, I'm truly sorry for those of you I'm going to make mad and upset, but please try to understand my point. His grandmother chimed in to say that the reason he was upset.
I mean, you gotta give credit to him. Fake it till you make it. I know, like, whenever I post on Twitter, like, oh, I can't stream tonight, like, nobody fucking cares. Like, I'm 100% self-aware of that. But, no, fake it till you make it, right?
That was that he got judged for his music, but a much more likely explanation is that Chance has a very low attention span and doesn't seem capable of committing himself to something over a super long period of time. Proof of this is that he doesn't even commit to giving up, as just a few months later, he was publicly considering remaking a previous album of his, which, by the way, doesn't seem like it was ever properly made in the first place. In November, he attempted to play League of Legends, only to discover that going AFK during a match gets you suspended. Fortunately for him, his interest in League of Legends was still not enough to prevent him from somehow getting yet another girlfriend, a girl named May.
Another one? God damn, this guy is like swimming in pussy. Holy shit. I don't know how to process that.
Facebook URL, that was probably just an avatar name. Onlookers are continually amazed by the fact that CYRAXX is able to pull these girls. And honestly, I don't really know how he does it.
Thank you.
He just has Riz like
what the
that.
fuck?
After all, if we acknowledge his home state... Never mind. In November, Sally made 2 calls to the police to report a suspicious black vehicle parked outside their home, but there's no way of knowing what this was about. Meanwhile, Chance is up to his usual shenanigans as a little while later, a tragedy takes place in the city of Akron. A man named Zach Hussein is shot in a pizza parlor, prompting Chance to make a plethora of posts calling the man his brother and good friend, although there's no evidence he even knew this guy.
Don't do that.
Most likely, CYRAXX is trying to ride the coattails of the news, so much so that his way of mourning Mr. Hussein was to start making custom car designs in what looks like Second Life, with the guy's face and name plastered all over them, no less. He went as far as to open a Facebook page called ZNC Customs, with the ZNC standing for Zach and Chance, and it's very likely there was no approval whatsoever for this to be done. And with this wonderful image as his profile picture, we closed 2015 off as the calm before the storm. In January of 2016, he announced the creation of an anime-style punk metal band, and just a day later, he said he would be developing a video game for mobile devices. On the exact same day, he took it back in another post saying, I have some...
Man, this guy's a fucking Renaissance man. Modern day Renaissance man. Makes games, music, jumps off second floor balconies. It's fantastic.
Saddening news. I know many of you were looking forward to me bringing back a few games, but due to the stress level of the programs, I'm making them into a manga, which will be released in the next few months.
Whatever.
I am deeply and terribly sorry for the upset this may cause for some of you, but I feel as if making them into mangas will be much easier for me to do and less stressful. It's becoming needless to say, but neither the mobile games nor the mangas were ever made. Also on the same day, he puts up a post for the sale of a thumb drive for $50 via PayPal, containing 40 custom art pieces, 10 custom 3D car designs, and 10 unreleased instrumentals of his. And if you want an idea of what these art pieces are, when they aren't stolen from other people, they are the product of presets and automated designs, such as these lovely vases he was showcasing a little while later. Likewise, the instrumentals he makes are all using software that automatically structures a beat. A few days later, he began selling custom anime art for $5. Presumably, when this manic period of hyper-productivity died down, CYRAXX settled back into a melancholic, depressive state, as on February 7th, he mourns his absence of a girlfriend. A lolcow classic. Why can't I be happy with a wonderful girl who loves me for me and won't hurt me or use me, then throw me away? All I want is to be happy. Is that too much to ask for? To be happy with a girl who doesn't drink, smoke, or do any drugs and will stand by my side no matter what? Is that really too much to ask for? The no drinking, no drugs caveat is truly reminiscent of the GOAT Chris Chan's attraction sign, but the comments reveal that CYRAXX...
I believe that sign was he wanted a boyfriend-free non-black girl, or sweetheart, excuse me. I believe that's what the Christian sign said.
Is truly reminiscent of the GOAT Chris.
Here we go. 21 and single white male. This is how he got kicked out of his junior college, I think. He kept putting that up in the oh fuck, it was it's like the counselor or something. I don't think it was the dean of the college, but he like sat out in the common room and had that and like, oh man, he was swimming in pussy too, I bet. Seeking a cute 18 to 21 single female companion. If any if any men read this hype sign, huge sign, mind your own business. And he has a little Sonichu with a with an arrow. I assume he was sitting over here. Jesus Christ.
Chris Chan's attraction sign, but the comments reveal that CYRAXX is indeed a fake cell, as a girl named Michelle Nicole Kingsbury says, "You are not single. I'm yours, ain't I? I thought I've been yours since like October."
Oh
CYRAXX
shit, he got called out.
Responds to these fake cell allegations, though. Seriously, now it's almost as if he has a child's idea of what having a girlfriend means, and is sufficiently pleased by just calling someone that and being done with it. So much so that he's even forgotten someone had actually agreed to be his girlfriend already. His businessman persona takes the wheel again, this time advertising his pottery pieces with what looks to be poorly rendered 3D Celtic rune patterns. Once again, he didn't sell a single one, and I doubt that he could actually even get one of these vases made if someone was goofy enough to buy one.
I'm not gonna lie, that looks pretty fucking cool
From him. His mania dies down, and after complaining about not making any money with his art, blaming it on companies not giving him a chance, he decides to go after the people who are stealing his art and claiming it as their own. Well, this is ironic, considering that he's done this hundreds of times at this point. There's no evidence that anyone's stolen any of CYRAXX's original artwork at all. If I were to guess, he saw someone complaining about being stolen from and decided to just do the same thing. Obviously, if this was a real concern about a real piece of artwork,
probably like
he could just
recolored it and thought
if
that
Chris Chan
that was
managed to
his
copyright
creation.
Sonichu, there's no way CYRAXX
Like,
couldn't
did a
do the
little
same thing with his art.
slider.
In April, he opened a new record label called Metal Militia, which hosted his band Black Fire Lighthouse. The only problem is his band was just a screen capture from the Flash game Punk-O-Matic. Didn't stop him from advertising for it using IMVU models though, and unfortunately, we are unable to hear any of their work at this moment. Lost media. A couple of weeks later, he once again starts talking about making a video game, but it turns out he just learned how to use Mugen, a fighting game template that allows you to easily add playable characters by downloading pre-made files and placing them in a folder in the program's directory. On his Facebook, he showed a computer-generated fight between the protagonist of Fatal Fury, Joe Higashi, and movie star Bruce Lee. Unfortunately, his primitive programming skills weren't impressing anybody, so he once again became melancholic, sharing his negative experience with relationships. Everyone wonders why people like me have trust issues when in a relationship. It's because when you're hurt, abused, and lied to so much, you don't know what to do, and half the time you want to end it, but don't want to be the bad guy in the end. It's not as simple as most think, especially when you truly love someone and they treat you really bad, yet you still give.
This man is allergic to periods and even commas.
Them everything in the hopes of them changing. Those who have hurt me may be the way I am today in relationships, and that is in no way my fault. And if you have trust issues in a relationship and are getting treated badly, you are in no way at fault, and nor are you alone. A peer of CYRAXX has commented, saying, "Same, I have 3 dads." It's unknown if Chance is referring to a specific ex-girlfriend of his in this post, but as we'll learn later on, if anyone's abusive in his relationships, it's probably him. After getting over this slump, he's back to using online software meant for kids to make what he calls artwork. This time, he generates cards for other artists, but also one for his fans, so that they can get early access to all of his music and art. In May, he claims he lost a friendship with a
Ascension WoW is a private server where you forge your own custom class in a classic Vanilla Plus setting. Play free, build your custom hero, and conquer
girl due to the machinations of an online hacker by the name of Chuck Stiegel, someone who he alleges has been harassing and hacking him for years. In a way, Chuck was CYRAXX's first troll and first A-log at the same time, and since he will reappear later on, it's good to get his introduction out of the way. For those who don't know, an A-log is a troll who is ultimately more ridiculous than the person they're going after. But how can someone be more ridiculous than CYRAXX, you may ask? Well, how about a self-proclaimed vampire who says things like this and claims to be a conservative Christian while
absolutely 100%
while publicly cross-dressing online. Oh, and if that's insufficient, he's also the author of the cult classic Goth jerking off while crying. His relationship with
Hearted
CYRAXX
goth
began in
jerking off while
2013
crying.
when,
Fair
according to
enough.
the archivists, they, along with a
Yep.
third friend called Billy Thayer, tried their hand at being a band, but it instantly fell apart, as all of CYRAXX's creative endeavors do. We know this not because of Chance's troll following, because at the time he was unknown. It was Chuck's troll following, which preceded CYRAXX's by a very long time, that preserved these pieces of info. While they were much smaller in comparison to what CYRAXX eventually amassed, they were enough to, through the word of mouth, tell the tale of how Chuck tried to set CYRAXX up with another girl while he was engaged to Heather to try and break them up. When this failed,
His fiancee Harley sent nude photos of himself? What the fuck?
Chuck sent Heather nude photos of himself.
We already went through the Chris
and
Chan
when CYRAXX found out, they had a falling
rabbit
out,
hole
and Chuck
a few
continued
days
to
ago.
harass CYRAXX by hacking into his accounts. This retelling, which happens to be the earliest one online, places the breakdown of their friendship at 2013. A later retelling, which Chuck himself corroborates, places it at 2015 and claims that Chuck decided to cut ties with Chance after discovering that he'd been exchanging inappropriate messages with a 16-year-old. The thing is, how could this be possible if Chuck hadn't already been hacking into CYRAXX's accounts? Chuck is from Florida, while CYRAXX is from Ohio, so there's no chance Chuck was using one of Chance's devices and randomly stumbled on the messages. The most likely story, especially since hindsight is 2020, and we later discover that Chance does indeed have proclivities toward inappropriate interactions, is that discovering CYRAXX's messages just gave Chuck pretext for what he was already doing. Before we get back into the main story, it's noteworthy to point out that their aforementioned mutual friend, Billy Thayer, met Chuck in a residential mental health program before they left to live on the streets. Eventually, Chuck managed to pay for a room in a boarding house, which they shared.
Like
upon discovering his
13
existence and
degrees
immediately
here.
noticing he was an odd fellow who bore somewhat of a resemblance to Daniel Larson, the trolls took an interest. At the point this happened, Billy had fallen out with Chuck due to the latter having accused him of possessing CP, so the method of getting Billy to talk was creating a Discord server and pretending to be a secret government agency created with the sole purpose of investigating Chuck Stiegel. This yielded a lot of results, certainly much more than initially expected, the most significant of which are archived in one of the main hubs for CYRAXX trolling, Masshole Mafia. It seems that Billy not only believed he was a Crip, a martial artist, and an experienced military man who went on multiple tours in the Middle East in the early 2000s, being decorated with a Purple Heart, among other medals. Though it's unknown if any of Billy's spiel has any truth to it, what is known for a fact is that his social media is full of posts like this one. As the trolls discovered that Chuck's accusations had some weight to them, they decided
Mom
to
and daughter
pretending to be
kissing?
a single mom with a 4-year-old daughter. By doing this, they successfully convinced Billy to concede remote access to his accounts, and what was found was shocking. The extent of what I can show from their findings is very limited, but rest assured you're not missing out on anything worth seeing. Let's just say Billy Thayer should move to Florida.
Wait, what the fuck was that? Pregnant child brides? Oh, that's what he tried to search. Pregnant child giving birth?
You're not missing out on anything worth seeing. Let's just say Billy Thayer should move to Florida.
Garbage
the FBI
person.
and LAPD were informed of Billy's online dealings, and the trolls had a field day by having Billy do things like dunk his head into a toilet and flush. While he seemed intent on killing Chuck for having exposed him, he eventually defaulted into just trying to get a single mom to move into the boarding house he was living in.
This video is for my little princess. Just so you know.
I think I've lost the thread of the plot.
I love you.
Eventually, this sting operation culminated in a phone call with Billy in which he incriminated himself.
The truth is that we found you because of your association with Chuck.
I don't know.
We
Should
checked
you?
your Facebook page and we saw a picture of a woman and a young girl
Probably
kissing.
get some
and you
YouTube
said that it
content
turned
out
you
of it.
on. And it was a very young girl, Billy, very, very young. So we hypothesized that you were probably a pedophile, which you are because I posed as a single mother with a 4-year-old daughter that is not real. And you messaged me.
Oh, they pulled a fucking Chris Hansen on him.
You might just find company telling me that you wanted to stay home with this made-up child to molest her all day. So I got your personal information. I called Kissimmee police. I turned you in, and I'm going to make a video and put it on YouTube exposing you for the 41-year-old creep that you are that wants to 4-year-olds.
I'm not what you think I am. I was testing you.
You were testing me. You were testing me to see if I'm okay with pedophiles like you or not, because I'm not.
I'm not like that. I was testing you. That's all a lie, because I even looked into it and there is no horrible.
Right, because it was actually a 40-year-old woman pretending to be a child to bait you, and you tried to have sex with what you thought was a child. And then, even worse...
See, the issue with that is that it's like a civilian trying to get another civilian to confess to something, but if it were to ever go to court, they would argue that it was entrapment or something. Yeah.
You tried to make a plan to have a single
Finally
mom
go
move
meet
down
Duck-
to Florida, buy you a
Ducks in
house because
disguise.
you're unemployable, Billy. You can't hold a job or support yourself.
I'm not employed. I work
It was
at
Ducks in
No,
Disguise.
you said that you
Never
left
heard of them.
SeaWorld, and you're not going to work at SeaWorld for very much longer because we called them too and let them know that you're a pedophile and you shouldn't be around children because you have fantasies about molesting 4-year-old girls.
Well, I got news for you. I'm going to work tomorrow.
All right, well, I'm sure your manager is going to have a lot to say to you tomorrow.
The fact Billy was working at SeaWorld is horrifying to say the least. All this goes to show what kind of company CYRAXX was attracting. Honestly, with this in mind, dating juggalettes isn't half bad.
Jesus.
Unfortunately, both Chuck and CYRAXX were eventually faced with similar accusations with differing degrees of severity, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Back to the man of the hour, Chance Wilkins. He apparently dropped a book called Soul Census, but unfortunately we don't have access to its contents. After designing a few more cars, CYRAXX decided to move on to bigger and better.
Wait, if he dropped the book, like, surely there's got to be a copy of it out there somewhere. A friend of mine. Oh, yeah, go for it.
High-powered war mechs. It's interesting how he goes into detail about the kind of weapons and defense mechanisms it has, as if it were or possibly could be real, much like a kid would. He then designs some of the most revolutionary-looking footwear of all time. That being said, critics found his revolutionary design somewhat controversial, to which he said, "To all my haters, sticks and stones could never shake my tone, so I'm thinking your words haven't got a hope." Based. He announces his new music project, Urban Warfare, but quickly devolves back into his lonely persona as he makes a post featuring an image of Rurouni Kenshin hugging his girl with the caption, "This is what I want, a beautiful girl who treats me right and won't abuse or hurt me. Is that too much to ask for? Is it too much for me to ask to be happy for once in my life? So what if I don't look the best? That shouldn't matter.
I agree
what
with
should
you,
matter
Bunny.
is how the other one is treated." He then specifies 25 CD pre-orders will constitute Urban Warfare's rollout, and I'm not sure why that's the number he picked, but that is it. After showing his brand spanking new IMVU avatar for Shadowblade, he drops a rant on how the music industry and record labels are exploitative and unfair, despite never having actually been signed to a record label. He then reposted said rant 3.
I thought he was signed. I thought he got like a pity signing or something from somebody. Always trust it. No, don't do that.
Times, I guess,
You're
because
gonna
he was
regret that
unhappy
one
with
day.
the little traction the first post got. Overall, 2016 was a positive year for CYRAXX, perhaps the last one of them. Apparently, not only did he once again enter a relationship, he started a job at a new place called Miracle Riders, though this might be just yet another iteration of his fake Second Life car business. Most importantly, 2016 was a year with no police reports from the CYRAXX household. The same cannot be said for 2017. January is kicked off with a plethora of new live stream VODs going up on his Facebook account, most of which contain the usual we've come to expect from CYRAXX. At this point, he's also convinced himself he knows how to play the guitar.
Superb cradle of...
And his superb production skills also make a reappearance.
Oh, yo, let me make sure I add to what it is.
Come here, Orion.
Guess I'm ignoring him or
Chance
something.
begins to work on a music documentary and enters another relationship, while his live streams are forced to go on a brief hiatus due to someone reporting him. His banning and subsequent return are the primers that kick off what his trolls have come to call the living room saga, where he was frequently recording himself doing his routine, not in his bedroom, but
That is
in the
a
middle of
man
Sally's
if there
living room.
ever was
On the
one.
first day of February, he released a new
Holy
dubstep
shit.
track.
God damn. What do they call it? His skullet, I think? What is he wearing?
Shades on it. This is fucking fire, dude.
It's really a testament to his intellect and awareness that he's dropping dubstep tracks in 2017. Or maybe he's just got swag. For some
Whatever
unexplainable
happened to
reason, in a lot of these
dubstep?
live streams, he wears these motorcycle glasses on his head. I guess because he thinks it's cool and cybergoth. Which, make no mistake, it is. He then made a new band with his friend called Hallow Injection, with some wonderful cover art to go with it. He drops another song, this one with a feature from a friend of his, though it appears he misplaced his friend's verse on the beat.
Like
Then
him.
moves on to working on his new EP called Nut House. Since his music endeavors weren't
Is
working
it?
out, he offered his services as a dog sitter or babysitter before going back to selling beats, this time for 50 cents
Who's,
each. He also started a radio
who's
show
like the
and
big
even hosted
person
a
now? Is
concert
it
to
still
fight racism,
Skrillex?
all while working on a video game style movie and his first ever all rap album. Unlike many
Oh
of his other
shit.
albums,
He's gonna create a video game style movie. The fuck does that mean? It's not a video game movie, it's a video game style movie. Fuck. Okay. And then he's working on his first ever all rap album.
Albums and songs. This album is still up and very accessible.
It's
this
like the modern Da Vinci.
And this is how it sounds.
Every single day, so watch my best friends die. Every day, just to protect my life, yeah, you.
But CYRAXX's disappointments with the music industry resurfaced. First, he alleged that someone stole a car design from him and submitted it to the Power Rangers film from 2017. It got accepted, and they took credit for it. It doesn't seem like he ever names the person who supposedly did this, so we can probably chalk it up as just another instance of Chance completely hallucinating life events that didn't happen. Next, he claimed a record label wouldn't sign him because he was too ugly, and pretended he'd been crying for hours about it before dropping a song called F the Industry, targeted at said record label, which he does not name at any point in time. It's also in February that he drops possibly one of the best pieces of avant-garde comedy ever witnessed by man.
Here we go. I'm ready.
Oh. Now what are you here? Oh. Where am I? Hey, what the hell? Wait, what? Dude, who are you?
What the fuck?
Who are you? I asked you first. Oh, let's fight. Come on.
In March, he gives up on releasing one of his albums because doing so initially would cost $20. He then opens a store for Shadowblade merch and fakes a newsletter from the mobile game Vainglory, where he's described as one of the top 2 players in North America. In a video posted to his Facebook, he claims he made it and announces he'll be doing a concert in Chicago, and then 2 days later, he goes on a hiatus. It seems he joined another label in the meantime, Outcast Records, to release his long-awaited return to the rap game, Rebirth. After
I'm not
a
even
couple
halfway
weeks or so
through.
not
Holy
posting
shit.
any tracks and just busying himself with online drifting games. Oh, and he got another girlfriend named Tiny, who is obviously a catfish. Eventually, he did do a concert, if we can call it that, which consisted of him performing his songs in his usual living room setting. His next creative pivot is to make a series for YouTube about zombies called Dead Adventures, and after many instances of Chance comparing his relationship with Miss Tiny to Naruto and Hinata, they break up, supposedly because of Tiffany, which is Tiny's real name, saying something to her special needs aunt that CYRAXX.
Whenever you're like paralleling your life with anime, yeah, don't do that. It's a big fucking red flag.
CYRAXX wasn't okay with.
But what she said to her aunt is beyond fucked up. She told her aunt to shut the fuck up, stop asking questions, and to quit playing with the curtains before she smacks the living shit out of her.
Due to his history of twisting the truth to make himself look better, there's no telling if there's any truth to the statement here. It
every
didn't seem
time,
like the breakup took him too badly, considering just a while later he was dropping.
I don't know how he could not be inbred, and that's like a factual thing. I'm not trying to shit on him, but like, holy shit, man. God damn, Matt Jarbo.
More banger Facebook posts such as, "My team knows about this. When you're a boss and grab that last can of NOS that the store has in stock."
Jarbo's fucking
Soon after,
annoying.
He got together with
Whenever I refollowed him,
according to CYRAXX, was his high school sweetheart. Moving increasingly farther away from music, he returned to his knack for game programming, apparently to make a game called Fantasia: Order of the Moon. And I can only assume he's going to use RPG Maker to do so. Later on, he announces he'll be taking a voice acting role in a game, as opposed to taking on the role of the programmer. But neither of these things ever materialize. He returns to music instead to tease his new album, OCR Princess Farewell Tink Tank, which is probably the most deranged title so far. At some point, he either broke up with his high school sweetheart, or she has more than one name, as on June 6th, he claims that unnamed people are trying to break him up with his girlfriend, Betty. He seems to become increasingly upset and frustrated in general, which leads to his efforts towards music noticeably decreasing. After re-releasing his old album, Darkness to Light, he considers quitting music altogether, saying, "To be honest, these last couple of days, I've been contemplating quitting music because record labels
I thought he already
shut their
quit
mouths about me and refuse to stop bashing on me, all because of my physical
The record
appearances.
labels
Do I
are
want to
definitely
quit? No,
talking
but
about
how can I
him
make a
for
living
sure.
if they won't stop bashing on me and give me a fair chance to show them what I can do? Many others believe I should be signed, but it's hard to get signed when record labels constantly tear you down and bash on you." He makes yet another live stream complaining about how the only reason he doesn't get signed and make it in the music industry is because of his looks, and follows it up by retiring the name Shadowblade so that he can start anew. Right around this time, Linkin Park vocalist August, Chester Bennington tragically passes away, and despite knowing very little about what actually happened,
Yeah,
he
I
didn't
don't-
hesitate to chime in and act as if his death had something to do with bullying. His way of paying tribute to Chester was to
He
release
likes
a
to
Linkin Park
shit
mashup
on
dubstep
a lot
album.
of stuff,
It doesn't seem like
too.
this project
I
ever
don't
came
know.
to fruition, and his frustration and rage
Keep
kept
on
building
this.
up until
Yeah.
it hit a fever pitch. On the 24th of July, he made another rant on labels, and an ego-driven psychosis was replacing the usual self-victimizing tone in his rants. It read, "To every label out there talking shit, I want you to know, yes, I may lose these battles, but in the end, this war I will win, and I won't stop or back down. You guys think you can touch me? Well, guess what? You were wrong. There's a reason they call me demigod. I can't be touched by your negativity.
Do they really
or
call
your
him
bullshit.
demigod?
So just know this, in the end, I will win this war and make it in the music industry and shut you all up for good." What's shocking is that this was actually prior to him being discovered by trolls whatsoever. Even without any opposition, CYRAXX was deadlocked in a war with no one but himself, and
It seems that he hasn't revealed himself to the community as of yet. It seems all like very niche, but I guess the trolls are about to find out who he is and shit's about to go down.
it somehow looked like he was losing. A day later, he publicly pondered retiring from music altogether, but he proceeded to delve into his lonely state after breaking up once again. In his post about it, he complains that no girl is cool with him living in his mom's house to take care of her. After disappointment after disappointment in his music career, his new dream is to be a professional drift racer, and the only thing stopping him from doing so is his lack of a driver's license. You see, this is how life kept things fair. Chris Chan couldn't get a girlfriend but had a driver's license, while CYRAXX was the exact opposite. The reason he gave for losing his passion for making music was Chester's passing, and his new interests were making art books and calendars. August starts out in an interesting way, with CYRAXX telling a story about how his good friend Jason David Frank, the Green Power Ranger, was almost killed by someone who went to Comic-Con with 4 pistols intending to assassinate him. There are many far-fetched stories in CYRAXX's history, but this one is possible.
I've been, well, RTU, Rich, Review Tech USA, has been watching him, and I've seen him go around on, like, Papa Gut and other, like, commentator channels, and I figured I'd educate myself, and, yeah, it's not so far as funny as Chris Chan, maybe a dollar store ripoff of Chris Chan, but
possibly the most difficult to understand. There's no telling if he ever met Jason David Frank in his life, nor is there an apparent reason for him to lie about this. Of all the people to claim you're friends with, why the Green Power Ranger? While the story about the guy with 4 guns at Comic-Con is verifiably true, since many third parties have reported it, I can't make out why CYRAXX is particularly interested. Chance's behavior patterns were becoming increasingly explicit with every mood swing and episode. He repeatedly told his life story to make people feel sorry for him, while cyclically announcing new albums and new retirements to try and get people to ask him not to retire.
This guy's working on as many albums as I am.
People of hacking him whenever he was caught doing something unseemly. For example, on August 16th, he accuses Tiffany of hacking him and making it look like he was cheating on his then girlfriend, Abby, even making a video to bring the point home. All of this while starting livestream after livestream, wherein he rubbed his head and licked things off of his lips. On the 20th of August, a strange police report is made when one of Chance's neighbors decides to call for a welfare check after Chance's ex-boyfriend apparently threatened Sally over the phone. I'm not sure what to make of this or what it's supposed to mean, but it sure looks like what I said. Besides his extensive use of what appears to be a rap battle app, which he claims is where he now releases his songs through, not much happens during the following period. Besides complaining about the lookism of record labels, he now lumps in promoters as being to blame for his lack of success. While not mentioning having broken up with Abby, he starts posting things as if he was now single and looking for someone. What might have been happening is that on Facebook, there's this feature that allows you to select people who you don't want seeing your posts, and Chance was using this as a way to cheat in plain sight, I guess. He then holds a meet and greet in Akron for his fan base to
that's kind of
congregate and meet up with him.
Very fucked up. So he's like telling, or he's posting, and his girlfriend can't see it because you can limit it. Yeah, that's probably not very smart.
So he can give them autographs. Funnily enough, it looks like he didn't show up for his own event. After looking for metal bands in Akron to be the vocalist of, and failing, he tries his hand at selling digitally traced and filtered stock images as if they were original artwork. More and more, I'm thinking that his incessant complaints about people stealing his art are as a result of people pointing out that his art is identical to all of these already existing stock images. So he resorts to claiming they're the ones copying his stuff. He grew increasingly shameless about what kind of art he claimed was his own. For example, this one. I'm pretty sure this is some kind of foot fetish fan art. Meanwhile, this is just a famous picture of Audrey Hepburn he was convinced he could pawn off for $40. He even made up some lore to go with his lies, talking about how rich brats were removing his watermarks with Photoshop and making money off of it. Never, not even once, does he actually even name anyone that's supposed to be doing this. On September 12th, he decided to hold a memorial for not 9/11, but
Is it where he just crashes his airplane all the time and lives?
911, which I guess is September 1st, 2001. Never forget. The Facebook post he made about it had attached to it images of the car he designed in his drifting game, emblazoned with an American flag and 911 on the hood. I'm pretty sure the 911 logo in-game is supposed to designate a police car, but what matters is the intent. A day later, he drops a heavier cover of Evanescence's song Going Under. From the middle to the end of the month, he begins to tease potentially.
Man, Turkey Tom, you can't fucking say this shit and not play a little snippet of the song. That's a fucking tease right there. Owen Marin.
Retiring again due to his computer being broken, rendering him unable to produce any artwork. As October starts, we can assume he's been kicked off one of the hundreds of bands he's joined, despite having no discernible skills as a music artist, because he makes a post complaining about people not being serious about their music and wanting to be like other bands instead of being original. I personally take this to mean that his offbeat Benadryl flows weren't his bandmates' cup.
Offbeat Benadryl flows. I like it. Two main reasons: he's not in any bands yet, not many are serious about it, and two, they all want to sound and be like other bands and not be original. Well, you have to get inspiration, right? That's a whole thing. It's like a rhyme and reason for like music and music theory and how chords go together and all that kind of shit. If you're just gonna play fucking random noises, then I mean, sure, you'll be original, but don't expect much from it.
Cup of tea. In order to give himself an air of importance, he follows it up with another post blatantly lying. Sitting here in tears, and I'm on the verge of quitting music for good because I just got told in an email by the head A&R for Warner Brothers Records that if I were a pro in music, no one would want to remember me or my music because I don't look like all the others who are successful, and because I don't follow trends or anything like the huge successful ones do. This is what I face every fucking day of my life, is like this. A day.
Did somebody actually send him that? Head of A&R. I don't know what A&R is for WB Records. That is fucking brutal, and that is funny.
A day later, in order to get some engagement his way, he dedicates another car design to the LGBTQ community in the wake of then-President Trump's ban on transgenders being in the military. For some odd reason, CYRAXX thought that a Roman Empire-looking flag on the hood matched the rainbow flag design that it had on its side. In a stunning turn of events, he found himself a new girlfriend, Maria, before he even broke up with Abby, which seems to have taken place 2 days later. In his post about the breakup, he mentions that he has no idea why her parents disapproved of him as a boyfriend for her daughter, though I think it may have been him publicly posting about his relationship with other girls, assuming this girl is even real to begin with. In a post in which
I gotta give it to him. If he gets this many girlfriends, I mean, good for him, I guess.
Security, it's revealed in the comments that a female acquaintance of his, potentially Abby, since we know her to be disabled to some extent, is under threat of having her supplemental security income taken away, and it's a possibility that she might get kicked out of her home and have all of her contact with the outside world cut off. Because of his experience with Abby, Chance grew more comfortable with the concept of being special needs himself. As we can see, near the end of October, he started to call himself a special needs artist and was considering making a
now the secret behind any great burger, of course, is
not exactly wrong.
YouTube docuseries about what it's like. Ultimately, this didn't pan out, and he gave up on music to pursue a career
Who's
as a
to say he's not special needs?
A little while after, on Halloween, he posts a poem about PTSD, which seems to be written by him since there's a lot of odd syntax going on, and the rhymes are something straight out of Dr. Seuss. But it seems this time, Chance made the effort of putting the thing through a basic grammar check. Somehow, after retiring from music to pursue a career as a visual artist, he became successful as an author. As opposed to his laments the lack of someone to celebrate his success with. Despite no longer being a musician, he dedicates a song of his to the military.
You guys have my full respect, not only as an army brat, but as a
He then publishes more poems about samurais and other things that look a lot like they're not his, and proceeds to become a professional photographer. As he grows stir-crazy and mad from not having a computer to play around on all day, quietly returns to making pottery, though I should specify that it is micro-pottery. That's right, vases that are just 5 to 10 centimeters tall. I don't really know what led to this development, but I think he must have found some, like, vase designing sculpting app on his phone that allowed him to simulate how much it would cost to make them. He claims to have sculpted and painted them by hand when they are visibly in a 3D
You've heard about
program.
this guy,
He then
Bunny?
makes a post complaining about how other people have it easy.
No idea about any of it.
Being unemployed and living for free, making 216.mp3 tier music all day. Politically, his next post is about how good he is at playing GameCube. Finally, his fury scabs over, and he decides to
thinking of hitting up Guinness World Records and 2 for the highest score, 2 for the longest trick combo on aggressive inline for the GameCube. I bet he's the only person in the fucking world in 2017 playing aggressive inline for the GameCube. I mean, no shade thrown if that's what
Next
you like.
post is about how good he is at playing GameCube. Finally, his fury scabs over, and he decides to quit his artistic aspirations to become an assassin. One man by the name of Hunter makes the terrible mistake of commenting under CYRAXX's post, saying this: "I don't mean to be the asshole here in this situation, but your whole argument could be used against you. Besides that, I could be a bigger asshole and say you're bitching about others bitching. My point here is listen to yourself and people you care about and block out the annoyances, otherwise they'll drag you down and make you one of them." Little did Hunter know, Chance was not the one to take constructive criticism lying down, and his immediate response was to express himself via his music.
I seen your little comment, dude.
Oh, here we go.
And you know what? I got something for you, rap. Yo, I see you looking like a little mother. Acting like you're a mother. Stop me, dude.
Eventually, he came around to address what Hunter, along with many other people, told him, which was that he should just let go of being mad and move on. This was CYRAXX's brilliant response.
See, I get what you're saying, that I don't need to listen to people. And I'll admit, you know,
I mean, the man's dropping some fucking fire bars, that's for sure.
What I deal with every day. You see, I'm not like you. I can't just up and walk away from it whenever.
I'm gonna be honest, not that I could do any better.
It's not that I don't want to, it's that I can't. Because unlike you, I'll
to
go
fucking
through a lot more.
lay it down. I am terrible at
I was
vocals.
born one kidney,
Oh, imagine that.
1.5 functioning lungs. I was born 1 pound 12 ounces of was not supposed to live. Every fucking day, I face death in the face and say, "F you."
Initially, you could almost feel sorry for a guy being this screwed up from the get-go, but seeing how much he uses this for an excuse for his poor behavior and to self-aggrandize.
I went down, maybe 2 nights ago. I found there's like, what's his name? King Cobra. That is also a very interesting individual as well. And he was streaming. I guess he streams a lot. And he doesn't look too far removed from this CYRAXX individual as well. Yeah, there's a lot of weird fucking people out there. And I'm not saying I'm not one of them, but holy shit. There's a lot of... there's a lot of stuff on the internet.
The pity wears off pretty quickly. If that minute or so was enough to be slightly annoying, let me tell you that the original live stream that clip came from is 40 minutes long, and CYRAXX just repeats himself for the entirety of it. To make things worse, he releases multiple nearly hour-long streams right after about the same guy. This just shows how easily trollable Chance was. All it took was a few meager comments and he was bent out of shape and responding for days on end. After finally getting over Hunter, he goes back to blatantly lying for no reason. I am officially pissed at myself. I was playing World Series Poker Tournament on my Kindle for real cash.
This guy does everything. This guy does fucking everything. He makes video game like movies. He has like 47 rap albums that he's working on. He's a voice actor, rapper, playing World Series Poker, professional photographer, keyboard virtuoso. God damn.
Move and lost a shot at the prize of $125 million. I'd be officially pissed at myself too. Nearing the end of November, he finally gets a new computer to do his streams on and changes his name to Virus. Very cool. His comeback to making music included becoming the co-founder of a record label called Bloodshot Records, of which he was one of the main artists. Years after it happened, he revisits the old drama regarding Eric Scrubolo and Kill a Clown Sounds, only to claim that people were stealing from him and that Scrubolo was underpaying him and mismanaging all of his artists. According to CYRAXX, Eric was stuck in the past, unlike himself, who was always ahead of the curve. He also says that he thinks he's owed money due to the Kill a Clown Sounds Facebook page.
Man. Look at that fucking prime specimen of a man right there. Getting all the pussy. All of it.
1,000 fans, all the while conveniently glossing over the fact that he was kicked out of the label from stealing from Eric. But failing to understand how business works is not a talent that CYRAXX reserves for the music industry. He also raves at book publishing companies for asking
and he's
from
an
him
author
to publish
too.
this garbage, as if publishers should promote his work for free. The man of the hour closes the year off with a picture of him next to a gigantic Reese's
It's like a
cup.
waterfall, isn't it?
While he spent the beginning of the next year trying to grow his label and add as many artists to it as possible, because he thought that's what it meant to run a label, he apparently was reacquainted with a man named Tanner, who'd approached him 2 years prior, claiming he worked for Tech Nine's label, Strange Music, and offered him a $1.1 million contract.
Fuck this. How is this not... I don't understand how they don't get sued. Because this is not what this game is.
For his beats. After warning everyone not to fall for his tricks, he made this endearing post. When you're awake at 4 a.m. and can't sleep, so you hop onto Adventure Quest 3D with your best friends who you've known since 08, shit gets real. Awkward and funny.
What the fuck is Adventure Quest 3D?
As much as he does extremely unlikable things, I'm almost beginning to empathize with him in the same way one would empathize with a screwed up rescue dog. Except this rescue dog is like kind of a heinous, horrible human being. Not satisfied with every skill he's already mastered,
there it is.
CYRAXX
Here it is. Look at this. Adventure Quest 3D. Immerse yourself in a vast multiplayer something or other. Apparently pretty good game. Never heard of it. 9 out of 10 on Steam. Fair enough. Cross-platform, massively multiplayer game. Yeah, you hop on at 4 a.m. with your friends and shit gets real. Seems to be... Wait. Release date October 28th, 2022. But we're in the 2018 era. What the... This motherfucker's like a time traveler or something? Or is he doing it on his phone? Maybe it released on PC later.
The website game and claims he's now working on a social network like Facebook and MySpace combined. It's inspiring to me how courageous he is for posting this on Mark Zuckerberg's platform with no fear of having his cutting-edge code stolen from him, especially given Mark's track record. He quickly grows tired of the web dev hustle and gets into professional gaming, saying he should be getting paid for being as good as he is on Call of Duty Black Ops. Almost as if divine punishment for his misdeeds, CYRAXX goes to the doctor and discovers he has shrunken an inch from 5'3" to 5'2". Soon after, a similar situation.
Dude, that guy is short. I'm like 6'3". God damn. That is a short individual.
Of Hunter happens, with someone making the following criticism of CYRAXX's music in a comment section. People are going nuts for no explainable reason. I'm afraid it's just not decent. The rhythm of the lyrics is dreadful. The auto-tune actually hurts to hear, and the vocal mixing is terrible. Can barely hear you. And there's been no decent mixing done on the vocals at all. It's flat and dry other than the auto-tune, which, as I said, is terrible. Too many people lie to you to make you feel good. I refuse to do so. Upset that someone was honest with him as opposed to just complimenting his stuff, CYRAXX decided to make a live stream responding, but not before he wiped his dirty teeth with his tank top right at the beginning of it. For once, it seems CYRAXX is actually upset instead of miming what he thinks a rapper or WWE wrestler would say when challenged. Once he begins his routine of belittling those who criticize him by saying he's gone through more, his critic says that he works full-time to support a family, and on top of that, is part of a metal band that has more fans than CYRAXX, which he visibly struggles to respond to meaningfully. For once, our champion is shaken, taken aback by the words of his naysayers. But like all things, CYRAXX forgot about it soon after due to his goldfish-like attention span and returned to playing his racing game while pretending on Facebook that he was an actual racer in real life. Once again, trying his hand
he wanted to be a professional drift racer, right? All he needs to do is get his driver's license. And that'll definitely happen.
The custom cars he made in-game, he tried contacting an actual art publishing company over email and got immediately dismissed for how ridiculous and worthless his customs were. While there was never and continues to be no chance for Chance to become famous for his music, his incessant Facebook posting, along with his responses to anyone who dared to criticize him, were seeing an increase in engagement. His fame as a lol cow was taking his baby steps. He proceeded to join DeviantArt to sell his art pieces for $1 each and posted these nice images to showcase his ability to use photo filters. On the 23rd, he dropped another album called Blackout with a hue-shifted picture of Master Chief from Halo as the cover. Eventually, his ability to stream on Facebook was taken away, thankfully, supposedly due to a cover he made of a Linkin Park song on the harmonica. He then invents the deranged headcanon that record labels and studios from the 50s used to help artists for no pay, and it's unfair that the current ones won't do the same for him. He applies the same logic to book publishers and announces a search for a company that will publish his works for free. Works, which apparently now include a high school manga based around his life, with yet another step being taken towards becoming Chris Chan. March was void of any interesting activity besides the fact that...
Is that like his holy grail? Is he gonna like dethrone Chris Chan and become like the ultimate god king lolcow?
His posts and Eric's comments on them, the two were back on good terms with each other. His ability to live stream was reinstated, much to the displeasure of his haters and the extreme pleasure of his trolls. Being the man he is, he makes a post complaining about having lost an ex-girlfriend of his to a supposed friend. By the way,
the cat's eyes. You can't make this shit up.
said ex-girlfriend has a cat that appears to have CYRAXX syndrome in the eyes. His account is once again placed under threat of suspension or ban due to his continued covering of songs. I'm pretty sure it's because he plays the actual songs during his streams, and you can intermittently hear them unedited in the stream's audio. CYRAXX claims his videos were getting almost 4,000 views, which is an absolute lie. Due to him reconnecting with Eric Scrubbelow, he's given the opportunity to perform at a live venue on the 21st of June, though it would be free admission. Still, that's better than performing metal Evanescence covers for 5 viewers on a Facebook Live. However, just a month later, it starts looking like his relationship with Eric.
5 viewers on Facebook Live. I have 2 viewers here and 0 on YouTube. So, I mean, it's doing better than me.
Eric is once again on the fast track to self-destruction since CYRAXX continues not to understand that his music needs to profit anything in order for Eric to pay him. In the middle of May, it looks like CYRAXX got the hang of using cheap online publishers to release his music digitally. Meanwhile, we see one of the first signs of what would eventually come to be CYRAXX's downfall. It appears he had been catfished by someone by the name of Lewis, who accomplished the probably not extremely difficult task of tricking CYRAXX into showing his member to him by pretending to be a girl who was fallen for his irresistible riz. Then Lewis proceeded to use the intimate image of CYRAXX to blackmail him into doing something that we're unaware of. However, when CYRAXX took to Facebook to warn people of this, he pretended he was
See, that's why he's never gonna be like Chris excuse me, Chris Chan status, because Chris Chan has filmed himself fucking a PlayStation 3. See, they won't, like, we don't know what happened here.
hacked, and that's how Lewis got those pictures of him in the first place. And it would happen many other times in the future, but we'll get to that eventually. June starts out on the wrong foot, or rather,
I'm bougie. I'm like $7 bougie. The all-new $7 deal lovers menu at Pizza Hut.
Goddamn, I haven't eaten yet.
infected foot, as CYRAXX finds himself in a fight for his life against an infection on his toe. It doesn't break his stride, however, as on the very next day he...
Hey, I can relate to that. I told this story last night. I got bit by a brown recluse spider. It was a week before I took SATs. Could have lost my foot. Should have gone in earlier. Thought it would go away. It didn't. Would not recommend. Bit me on my fucking big toe, too. I gotta empathize with that.
He makes a post humble bragging about how a bunch of girls want to be with him now just because he's rich and famous, despite the fact that he's neither of those things. A few days later, we hear the bad news that CYRAXX's live concert has been canceled, supposedly due to people not getting the dates right. That's a very weird reason for him not to do the concert, so I'm presuming he's leaving out some part of the story here. Or the concert was never going to happen in the first place. Yeah. He channels this anger into making a diss track on Donald Trump and creating a new YouTube channel called Gamer Zone, for which at least one of the logos was stolen directly from a rap battle channel called GZ Battles. Somehow, despite having his concert canceled and making rigorously no money from his music, he makes a post to his Facebook saying the following: "Producers and companies might hate me, but later today I will be revealing and exposing live on Facebook how to avoid producers who want $50+ for one beat and how to become self-successful in music on your own with no label backing whatsoever, and showing you how most artists these days can make it with zero money and not have to spend a single dime to just do it how I did it." His great tips are a list of free music making apps, and he never gets to the point about how exactly to make money out of using them. On the 22nd, due to whatever caused the concert to fall apart, Eric and CYRAXX were back at odds as the
dude's like resting face is fucking entrancing. Jesus.
The latter dropped a video attacking him.
And you might think I suck. Well, dude, if I suck so bad, why is my music up on Spotify? Why have I been Reverb Nation's #1 artist from 2010 up to this year? So I guess that ends that really.
Man, I used to have a podcast on Spotify. It literally cost nothing. Nothing to have your shit on Spotify. Fuck, I should put my stuff on Spotify. Nobody'd ever listen to it, but, you know, why not?
But shit, but you know
My
what?
current,
At least
like,
I'm out here
remixes.
making money. That's the issue with you. You're not fucking business smart.
Apparently, Chance has been rated
That's
the best
true.
musician in the entire nation for the entire decade and is making money. Again,
Absolutely.
anything is sufficient to make CYRAXX's ego inflate, and learning how to simply publish his music on platforms has got him convinced that there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people buying his music. During the video, there's a moment in which he acts like he's going to show his money before giving up on it.
You know what? Nah.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna waste that on you.
Very obviously, he relented because there's probably not many money to speak of.
There's not many money. Yeah. You ever, like, go into a class, like, as a student, and you forget your, I don't know, like, maybe your textbook or your pen or something, and you're, like, looking in your backpack and being like, oh, where is it? Where is it? And you just go on too long because, like, you're trying to trick the teacher into thinking, oh, I have it. I just can't find it. Yeah, I think that's what's going on here.
A couple of days later, he shows his chiseled abs and pecs underneath what looks to be a discount Sonichu necklace. I think these things must be like voodoo totems and invoke the same demon that possesses these guys to do the stuff they do. Despite now being a successful superstar in music, CYRAXX...
Is that literally, like, unfiltered? Dude is, I mean, he's a bit more ripped than I am, that's for sure.
These guys to do the stuff they do. Despite now being a successful superstar in music, CYRAXX once again started pursuing another endeavor, filmmaking.
Maybe
On the
that's what
26th
gets
of
the
June, he
ladies.
posted an unofficial trailer for a movie called Lady in
here we
White.
go.
Another wonderful
Hell yeah.
film production from Mr. Rax is this monstrosity.
What's the matter? You scared?
That is the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in my life. Unironically.
You better run.
After this, he posted an image of a Google Hangouts Chester Bennington had participated in and edited his own face in the corner in a hilariously bad fashion to make it look like they were, like, hanging out. Come July 4th, CYRAXX celebrates it by getting into a...
It's so bad. Go, Ryan. Oh my god. Dude. Come on.
fashion to make it look like they were, like, hanging out. Come July 4th,
oh my
CYRAXX
god.
celebrates it
Oh,
by
another
getting into another relationship.
Another
Right
relationship.
after, releases a new
Holy
track
fuck.
called Please Notice Me that somehow manages to be a #1 hit before it was even published. It's not enough to lie about his success in one venue. He has to do it in all of them. He claims he's in tears because he had to turn down a deal with Hoonigan, a well-known racing channel, because he didn't have 100,000 subs on YouTube, and that Hoonigan was willing to send him a full setup. Later on, he admits that he has no license and thus wouldn't be allowed to drive anything, let alone a race car. After a while of not getting anything done, CYRAXX decides to attention seek by trying to get people to
so
pity
many
him, and
opportunities
telling a fake
lost
story
because
about
of
how
no
the doctors
license.
told him he'd have to stop making music.
Feeling disappointed with Rufus Shinra? Motherfucker that is running Shinra Corporation in Final Fantasy VII right now? Okay.
Or he was going to lose his voice.
All right.
His pity-baiting posts intensify as he retells his life story for the umpteenth time, this time subtracting 2 ounces from his birth weight to make it even more extreme. In order to stick to his I'm going to lose my voice story, he pivots to being a photographer again, until on the 17th, he announces again that he's entered a relationship. On the same
Another
day,
one.
he's gotten back
God.
together with Abby, but the good times only lasted so long. His song, Please Notice Me, was attracting some attention on YouTube and consequently, negative attention as well. People were pointing out how horrible it sounded, and CYRAXX was responding in a very CYRAXX fashion. August is a relatively quiet month, with him mourning his bandmates from high school who allegedly overdosed on heroin and meth at the same time. A little while later, he starts flipping out on people who steal art right before his own art.
Isn't that called candy flipping, I think? Or am I thinking of something else?
Artwork suffers copyright takedown due to the fact that a lot of it is just downloaded from Google Images and re-uploaded as his own. Eventually, the 6 weeks waiting period that he claims he has to undergo in order to claim royalties for his music is up, and now he gets to lay his hands on the total lump sum of $14, though he struggles to do so and starts berating the platform that supposedly owes him money on Facebook. Later on, early signs of troll activity begin, with people doing the old CWC routine of taking his name and pretending to be the real him online, and immediately this tactic.
The best Chris Chan arc is Liquid Chris. We watched it the other night because I just started Metal Gear Solid. That is such a good trolling arc. It's all in good fun. It's fucking hilarious. And yeah.
Tactic shows some success at getting a reaction out of CYRAXX. The lack of music in September is justified by the other things CYRAXX is up to during the month. Namely, he drops a trailer for his first short horror movie, The Darkness. As you can see, all characters are played by him in an Eddie Murphy Norbit type of vibe.
Sure.
It's also in September that he drops one of his most absolute classic videos, the dance battle response to an old rival. I really don't know how to put into words how I feel about this, other than amazing, excellent, divine, beautiful. Later on in the month, he does a rehash of his tutorial on how to become a successful artist without spending any money, this time under the moniker of Dark Star Films, his fantasy production company for The Darkness. In early October, which is fittingly the spooky month, The Darkness is dropped in its entirety and is absolutely incomprehensible. It begins with a sped up shot of CYRAXX walking into his own house before a hard cut to a flashback wherein you can see him with a PewDiePie face cam looking dumbfounded as he frantically switches between some kind of virtual radio stations, but all you can hear is static. Cut to the present, he wakes up on the couch and
Man.
Things are about to get
Man,
mighty interesting.
what the fuck is happening? Weird.
If you sleep on your side, I bet you hate your pillow, and this is why. They might be as fluffy.
Starts mumbling nonsense to himself for a few minutes. He walks around his house until he randomly starts hearing voice acting lines from the baby character at a Five Nights at Freddy's sister location, which I believe are copyrighted, by the way, so we're not going to play that. He ignores this and continues to wander aimlessly until he leaves his house to look for his friends. In doing so, he becomes hypnotized by how beautiful the forest looks and finds himself compelled to walk into it like an ancient Greek tale. He hears more lines from the baby character, and this time it freaks him out, prompting him to start running around. Eventually, he identifies whatever is haunting him as the force of darkness before going home and calling his friends again. He hears more baby lines and goes back to wigging out, but eventually just goes back to sleep. Once he falls asleep...
I mean, I'm trying to think of some positives here. The guy gets out of the house, I guess. He is ambitious, maybe? I don't know what the fuck to think.
The movie cuts to CYRAXX in the darkness with a blinking light illuminating his face as a nightmare sequence. He wakes up again and starts talking to himself until the baby lines start up again, and I guess he starts choking to death. After that, he just plays someone else's creepy horror video, and then there's a few minutes of darkness. Quite conceptual. Due to how unintentionally funny the darkness was, it garnered more views than CYRAXX as usual, and eventually
we should watch that.
Piques the attention of the man who would make CYRAXX famous, but not for the reasons you would expect. The official CYRAXX timeline, because yes, he has an official timeline, marks October the 19th as the day CYRAXX's nemesis, Music Biz Marty, discovered his existence due to someone called the Boy Blue introducing him to Chance's content while he harassed one of his ex-girlfriends, Candle. There's no linked source to back this particular time frame, but by closely studying his Facebook activity, we can deduce that CYRAXX entered into a relationship with Candle on the 11th of October, and they, I guess, continue to stay together until the end of November, when CYRAXX posts about his prospects of marrying her, even picking out who would be the godparents of the children he was planning to have with her. Thankfully, it never got that far, though, considering we're soon to discover CYRAXX's proclivity toward frequently whipping out his private parts whenever given the opportunity, or not given the opportunity. We can assume that having a girlfriend kept Rax nicely wrangled up for the month of November, because no occurrences took place whatsoever. However, the month of December kicks off with an already very strange note. CYRAXX makes a live stream asking for people to financially help him move Candle in with him all the way from Mississippi to Akron. According to Chance, this is necessary because her parents are allegedly abusive and have kicked her out, rendering her homeless. He further establishes that
oh, okay. So this is like an individual Rufus Shinra from Final Fantasy VII. Gotcha.
She's disabled and half blind, much like himself, and that her parents have been stealing her disability money away from her, going as far as shredding Candle's debit card when it came in the mail to prevent her from making her own purchases and taking her car keys away from her to keep her from taking it with her. What is particularly strange about this whole ordeal is that just a day later, Candle herself makes a comment saying, "Why would I come to you after the way you did me?" This makes it sound a lot like they were no longer together by the time Chance made this stream, despite him referring to her as his girlfriend multiple times in it. He proceeds to block her and make a post about her saying, "How the f do I always end up with all these girls who are not right in the head? Is it too much to ask
yeah,
for
it's
a
their
normal,
fault.
healthy relationship?"
100%.
Not to reaffirm the idea that there's something wrong with Candle, but it's hardly a mystery why CYRAXX can't get into a normal, healthy relationship. In any event, while we don't exactly know what's going on behind the scenes with Candle and him, he tries his best to play it cool for the rest of the month, telling the usual lies about having fans and being a professional drift racer in real life. Ultimately, his strategy of just letting the Candle situation burn itself out didn't work, because she made some kind of video about him called Chance Wilkins is Insane, which is unfortunately private and there's no way of accessing it. We only know of its existence because CYRAXX made a post about it on Facebook saying, "I'm sitting here in tears because of this girl. She has done nothing but harass me, bully me, and spread rumors about me that are not true, and refuses to stop, and the police refuse to help." Well, there's no telling what she truly said. A comment
Pred, not spread, pred.
Not true, and refuses to stop, and the police refuse to help. Well, there's no telling what she truly said. A comment left on the post by Eric Scrubbelow suggests that Candle has given out Chance's address and recommended people harass him in some fashion. The year 2019 starts out with an immediate welfare check, as reported by the police, though its details have been redacted and we don't know what's in them. However, they might be, and probably are, related to the havoc that was recently wreaked in CYRAXX's life by Candle. On his Facebook, he initially expresses some relief, saying, "I want to say thank you to everyone. Because of all of you, Candle has been stopped and her posts and videos removed." Unbeknownst to his Facebook friends at the time, what was actually responsible for taking Candle's videos down about him was a deal he struck with her, in which neither would mention each other's name anymore online. Chance, thinking himself clever, did his usual routine of posting about a person while setting it up so that they wouldn't be able to see it. However, Candle had an alternate Facebook account she used specifically.
Oh, that's smart. Wait, what is this? Vapor 95?
Welcome to Vapor 95.
What the fuck is this?
We hope you enjoy your stay.
It's a goofy commercial, but I do love me some Vaporwave.
In my 16 years of life, never have I witnessed such craze, such craze, such craze.
What the fuck is... What?
That must be you.
It's like the first ad that's actually caught my attention. What the fuck?
Timmy, are you okay? What happened?
Vapor 95.
That's funny.
Vapor 95.
All right.
Check up on CYRAXX's, and upon discovering he was still mentioning her and hadn't taken his post down about her, she nonchalantly said, "Haha, still here. Not all the posts are taken down. He broke the deal." The same day, he makes another post about her, attaching a video she had just made accusing him of being obsessed with her, saying, "I give everyone full permission to go all out on this bitch. I held my end of our deal up and removed all videos and posts about her, and she pulls this crap?" The comment section in this post is riddled with Candle making fun of CYRAXX and offering to show anyone interested the threatening voicemail he left for her. We actually have a recording of Candle listening to the voicemails.
So you want to keep playing that game? I will have you arrested for harassment. So guess what? I ain't the one going to jail. Going to jail is you. So keep running your mouth, you little bitch. Guarantee your ass is going to go to jail.
On January 7th, he makes yet another post about her, claiming she mentally and verbally abused him and traumatized him worse than any of his other exes. On the 9th, he posts about her again, which prompts her to make a video addressing him a day later. That's
impressive considering he has like 67 exes.
Time we do have access to the video, which is still up on YouTube.
Oh, shit.
Yo,
Okay.
this is your girl Rebecca. This is a video
Yo,
to
girl.
prove how bad of a stalker Chance is. He sat there and found out where I live. Not creepy at all. Not a stalker vibe at all. You're so stupid, kid. Leave me alone. I don't like you. Never liked you. I was nice to you because I felt bad for you, and then I found out you're a liar. You just butthurt because I won't date you. Stop fucking harassing me, you nutcase.
Her speech patterns are odd and sometimes even similar to that of Chance's, which
Sure.
has led some to speculate she herself is and always has been a troll. However, judging from the nature of her online activity during this period, it seems she's quite serious about what she's saying. On the 11th, she makes another video deriding Chance and all his threats, with the added bonus that she gets her friend to say,
I want you to leave my girl alone. You are not a player. You is a
What is that lip
dirty
syncing?
stalker. You is not a gangster just over here running your mouth and saying all kinds of crazy ass. You just leave her alone and give her up. You ain't gonna have that nothing.
These are all very high
to make a
quality
post explaining how to
individuals.
block her and that none of his friends should answer whatever she sends them. Regardless, she keeps on making uploads, claiming that
if I'm any
CYRAXX has
better.
tried to blackmail her and that he's on psychiatric medications for various different issues, though these claims have not been verified, but it wouldn't be surprising. Breaking his own promise to no longer talk about her, he answers again, saying, y'all want to know why I've been making such a big deal about Candle and her BS? It's because she could end up costing me a very real shot with the major non-profit label Reborn Records, who has been liking my work for some time now, and that's why I've been telling people to report her channel and her videos. This label could change everything for me that I've worked harder than anyone to get, so yeah, this isn't just a little issue. This is huge, and she needs to be stopped AF.
What is this capitalization and like triple spacing and stuff? It's wild. Also, again, no period or comma. Even a wrong comma would be fine. God damn, okay.
SAP. Given how obsessively CYRAXX has answered to every single person who has ever gone after him, this was just a convenient excuse for him to do what he would have done anyway. Case in point, one of the people in the music business he'd emailed with his garbage decided to take the time out of their day and explain to him why his music was unlistenable to any sort of record label. The issue is that your demos all use loops. I know you don't have a full setup right now, but I know loads of producers who can use all the music making software, and even if they don't have one, they use a Casio keyboard or a phone. You can create custom music on anything. The problem with loops is it's not your music, it's just choosing music. We need to see you grab a MIDI keyboard and put in those notes, make those beats on an MPC, or even just a cheap MIDI keyboard. We're a record label. We're not in the business of training people or recruiting people with potential. I wish we were, but that would make our clients very unhappy. You need to understand it's my job to find the best of the best out there. Think of it like a sports team. Let's say you're recruiting for the top baseball team in the state. If I pick a guy that hasn't played in a while, or isn't a pro level yet, he's going to be rusty and he's not going to be ready. We are not an education group, a school, or a charity. We are a record label that pays people up front for quality beats. We want top quality musicians who make their own stuff. Not rip it, not loop it, just create. Now, dude, don't take me the wrong way. I'm just trying to get you to understand that if you want to make it as a producer in this world, you're gonna have to make your own beats. And maybe you can if it's true like you say, but I don't see that. All you've shown me is some loops and then some songs you've downloaded from other producers. Most labels would not give you the time I have given you to explain all of this. They would simply just shun you aside and tell you not to go. But no, I think you're a good dude. Whatever kind soul wrote this happened to be wrong on two counts. First off, he claimed not to be a charity, but this is probably the most charitable action anyone has ever bestowed to CYRAXX so far. And secondly, he says CYRAXX is a good dude. Well, CYRAXX attached a picture of this email to a post he made on Facebook, which read, "This is the kind of that pisses me off. They act all interested, and once I explain my situation, they pull this and kindly tell me to f*** off." Oddly enough, while the sheer effort in communicating the truth to CYRAXX in the nicest way,
I don't think they told him to fuck off. They're like, hey, this is what we do. This is our criteria. And then, yeah.
way possible wasn't enough to pierce the concrete wall between chance and reality. It was sufficient enough to get other people who saw the post to side with the person who sent the email. People pointed out that his answer was well put together and that he went out of his way to inform CYRAXX, but even when all of his friends saw the man's point, CYRAXX outright refused to. In a comment, he linked to some rant video he did that explained why what the guy said was unfair, and while the video has since been taken down and we can't watch it anymore, we can presume he did his usual rigmarole of saying that due to being born all kinds of quirked up, copyright laws shouldn't apply to him. One of his friends was particularly poignant when he said, "He's nicely trying to tell you that you are stealing music. If you make any money from that, you can be sued for copyright infringement, plagiarism, etc. Why would a record label pay you to do that? This very nice person is 100% right. No, I'm not watching your rant video." In another post a few days later, it turns out that the guy with whom CYRAXX had been exchanging
discovered I got a flat tire and no one can help. It pays to be prepared. Keep this in your glove box. This thing is a...
Just fucking change your tire. It's not that hard.
Exchanging emails, who happens to be a representative for a record label called Reborn Records, eventually caught wind of CYRAXX's little post and video complaining about the reply he got. Being rightfully upset that the kindness he extended was met with mockery, he decided to send him another email addressing it. By the way, bitching about it on Facebook won't get you anywhere. Seriously, man, I was trying to help you, but instead of facing up to a challenge, you just think everyone is against you. Rethink your process. Has this way of working really been working for you, or has it not? I suspect the latter. Stay humble, learn the tools, and maybe you'll get a shot. But going around thinking we owe you something for nothing, dude, we're a record label, not a charity. Your situation is that you don't have anything to show me that is original work. How can I hire you? Would you write in your CV that you worked at a big company, then at the interview say, oh, by the way, I didn't actually work at that company, but if you just give me a chance? Nah, dude. CYRAXX reacted by making another post with the email attached, captioned, "This just proves even more how messed up record labels can be these days. SMH, what happened to the days where labels used to actually care about the artist and not the money?" He speaks as if sharing their communications highlighted anything beyond his inability to be cooperative on even the most basic level, and his profound stupidity. Oh, and he also forgot to close the X videos tab he had opened while they took a screenshot of the email and couldn't be bothered to crop it so it wouldn't be visible. In the comments, people began pointing out that Reborn's representative said nothing incorrect once again, and it seemed like it was finally getting to CYRAXX. And I say seemed because it only seemed that way, and he made it very clear that he understood nothing of what that guy had said. In a reply to one of the comments, Chance said the following: "Point is, they approached me wanting to sign me. I didn't approach them at all, and to be fair, I explained my situation fully, and yet what do they do? They slap me in the face like I'm some sort of joke. I don't own a computer, I own a Chromebook, which is like a PC, but can only run mobile-based apps and such." His excuse for not making original work, being that he doesn't own a computer, is not only a lie because he does have a computer, but it also makes no sense. As the representative pointed out, there are plenty of mobile apps that allow you to make custom music on your phone. CYRAXX actually even uses some of them. He just chooses to use the demo loops instead of making new patterns. When argued into a corner by his Facebook friends, he drops a new video on his page saying that Reborn Records is fake because they checked out his personal page. He also claims that unlike Reborn, his very own record label, Bloodshot, helps artists make money for themselves. A tall order considering he's one of the artists in Bloodshot and has no money whatsoever. This video is particularly difficult to watch because he's noticeably thirsty, but he refuses to drink a glass of water, which results in him gulping saliva amidst his speech.
It don't matter whether you build it from the ground up, like on FL Studios.
It seems that near the end, dehydration and general lack of mental faculties start getting to him, as he briefly forgets he's already on his own label, and thus has no need to be signed to any, despite his incessant begging to be signed by one, and he seemingly on accident drops the hard R. Seeing that this strategy of trying to say things related to the actual topic is failing terribly, he returns to his usual tactic of claiming he's being discriminated against due to people finding him hideous beyond comprehension. Then he threatens Reborn with diss tracks and claims he sleeps 5 hours a week, which, though an obvious lie, would explain a lot of his behavior, since it's that degree of sleep deprivation that makes people hallucinate. Also, for the first time in a very long time, he acknowledges that he went back
that could explain a lot.
to jail in 2012, only to use it as an excuse for why he's unemployed, while neglecting to mention he choked out his elderly adoptive mother. His heyday with Reborn Records is cut short by the resurgence of Kendall, who was threatening to show the label company the video she saved of CYRAXX attempting to blackmail her. We have no proof that Kendall's words are backed up by anything, but it seems CYRAXX was pretty terrified of potentially being arrested, so maybe there's something to her claims. However, he ended up not being arrested because, according to him, he hid until the police left and proceeded to call for Sally. Without missing a beat, he converts this situation into another excuse as to why he isn't signed to a record label or doing songs with big artists. A day later, though, he's back to his grind, this time as a professional YouTube channel intro maker. Again, he's using freeware that an 8-year-old can operate that automatically makes these intros and tries to sell them off. As you can see, the name of the channel in the intro he made here is Nuclear Reactor. That also happens to be the name of the reaction channel he'd made at the time. Soon after, people began taking issue with his use of the N-word, which prompted CYRAXX to claim he was being victimized. He makes a post trying to defend himself, but none of his friends side with him. Noticing that the tides had shifted radically against him, his reaction was to simply begin blocking anyone who expressed they disagreed with him, under the guise that it was to clear his account from any of Kendall's minions. CYRAXX has a rough start to the month of February, with Sally calling the police over threats to CYRAXX from a...
So I don't know a lot about lazy eyes. I thought you couldn't control, let's say, one of your eyes, but like, when he moves, I'm assuming his right eye is the lazy eye. But regardless, whichever one, his eye movements move the eyes the same amount one way or the other. Whereas I thought a lazy eye would be like, okay, one eye is, you know, doesn't have that like what would it be, like a must, like the ability to move? So the good eye would move, but that's not necessarily the case. I'm not a fucking biologist. So I'm curious
CYRAXX has a rough
that.
start to the month of February, with Sally calling the police over threats to CYRAXX from a female online, whom we can only presume is Candle. On the 6th, he makes a post calling out those who aren't willing to pay for his beats, saying, "You know what confuses me? All these artists say they want beats from me, and they're all willing to pay $10 for 10 solid beats to own flat out. Then when the time comes, they turn tail back out and run off. Like WTF? And y'all wonder why I can't make it as a producer? That's the reason. Because too many mofos want to play games and try and take advantage of me. They don't respect music anymore, and how simple but dope loop style beats like I do evolved into what they are now. Sorry to say, but half you mainstream guys need to learn and do your music history and take a look at where music started with guys like Bach, Beethoven. Do your history, take the time to hone your craft the right way, and stop having
Bach, Beethoven.
Plain and simple.
Oh my god, I love that. I love that. That's the best part of the fucking video right now. Bach, B-O-K, Beethoven. There is so much wrong with that. It's what, Johann Sebastian Bach, B-A-C-H, or Beethoven. Yeah, right. Beethoven, Ludwig. I knew that. And it's B-A-Y-T-O-V-A-N. But he has fucking transformed this into one super composer, Bach, Beethoven. That is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Simple. It seems that after the pressure created by Reborn Records' response, CYRAXX started admitting that everything he does relies on pre-made loops. However, in the comments, he can be seen still claiming that they're original and made from the ground up. Later on in the month, he claims to be retiring from music due to a few people who have been consistently trolling him on his YouTube videos comment sections. In a Donnie Darko-esque turn of events, on the night of the 25th of February, a tree in the neighborhood—
Johnson, you're fired.
Yeah.
Why? It's not
There it
you.
is.
It's your shirt. But it's casual Friday. Well, you've taken it too far. Look at Gibson. He's wearing a true classic tee. It fits him tight in all the right places, but leaves the perfect amount of room.
neighboring area decides to troll CYRAXX's house by falling very close to it. Without hesitation, he uses this to start talking about how the tree could have easily killed him. After this close call, there's a period of irrelevant developments and two mostly redacted police reports coming from CYRAXX's house until mid to late March, when Candle comes back with new, even more scathing accusations.
The return of Candle.
This is a live video on Facebook. I got something to address to all those mothers out there. All you mothers out there that have young children, be warned of this guy named Chance Wilkins. He'll off on your children. Not only that, he'll sit there and off on video chat with them. He'll sit there and threaten to your children if they don't sleep with him. They will do whatever they can. He will literally hurt you. This man is psychotic, dangerous. Women, be warned. His name is Chance Wilkins. If you want his link, it's right there on the description, whatever you want to call it.
Again, while we have no concrete confirmation as to what Candle's allegations pertain to, it seems that they, along with whatever she was sharing directly through Facebook messages, were sufficient enough to persuade two women who were particularly close to CYRAXX, being Becky, who once called in a welfare check on him, and Abby, who, as we learned from a video CYRAXX posted in June 2019, reunited with him in April, only to break up with him again over whatever the information was that Candle shared with her. While many have disputed Candle due to her strange mannerisms, it seems that she was one of the first people to be aware of CYRAXX's darker side and truly invested in keeping it at bay. So much so that she called 2 welfare checks on CYRAXX's house, presumably to intimidate him with police presence. We even have audio of at least one of her welfare check calls she made.
Hi, I'm calling about a welfare check that needs to be done.
Okay, and who are we checking on?
Chance Wilkins. He was just on YouTube a few moments ago threatening to me and a few other of my friends, and I think he's going off his rocker, and I think he might be a danger to himself and others.
Within a month of the last welfare check she called in, based on what we can see on Chance's profile, it seems that word spread that Candle had taken her own life, and according to CYRAXX, unnamed people began blaming him for her passing. Later on, we discovered that she hadn't died at all, but regardless, the rumor was enough to stress CYRAXX out. The information about Candle having supposedly passed hit the Juggalo-adjacent communities that CYRAXX has spent the better part of a decade sharing his music to, and that flipped a major switch. What kicked it off was when CYRAXX was invited to appear on a show called the Juggalo Drama Alert, where he was asked asked by the host, Fred the Boy Blue, to explain his situation with Candle. Noticing how much of an absolute character CYRAXX was, Fred had him appear in multiple episodes right after, and this grew Chance's popularity exponentially. Whereas he had 1 or 2 trolls who intermittently impersonated him before, he was now attracting a group of troll followers who were dedicated. While still in their developmental stages, they would eventually become the co-stars of the reality show CYRAXX's life is about to be. Around the same time, though we don't have the exact date, he began dating Heather, but not the same Heather as before. With new Heather, at some point during 2019, he made a video about how cyberbullying and other kinds of abuse may lead to doing something drastic. While we don't know the date this video went up, if it came out before Candle began role-playing as if she had passed away, there's a very good chance her faking her death was to make it seem like CYRAXX had done exactly the thing he denounced and cyberbullied someone to the grave. For a while, the trolls did little besides sending outlandish threats of all sorts to CYRAXX, even going as far as calling his home phone to inform him that they had planted a bomb in Sally's car, which CYRAXX reported to the police, and once the car was checked out and no device was found in it, he made a video on his Facebook page mocking his trolls. Eventually, they evolved and realized that if they were going to get any quality lolcow content out of him, they would have to be working on the inside. One of the first to do it was by the name of Boogeyman, who began interacting directly with CYRAXX and even received a voice message from him explaining the Candle situation. Around the same time, a Juggalo act called the Bender Boys also got involved in trolling CYRAXX in some unknown fashion, earning the ire of the Madman of Akron. While it gets increasingly difficult to find the exact dates and details for things from around this time, the closest I found was that a channel very tightly associated with the Bender Boys, called Brooklyn Menace, posted a video edit of CYRAXX playing around with a samurai sword under the title CYRAXX Shaolin. After a month or so of gratuitously terrorizing
modern day Star Wars kid, right? Is what it seems like. Trying to resurrect Star Wars kid, or that energy.
Took a page out of the Daniel Larson textbook, deciding to pose as a record label interested in signing CYRAXX. In late October, he posted a video about how he finally made it.
See, a lot of people don't realize it, but thanks to the haters over on YouTube on my new channel, I got some exposure, got hooked up with a major underground artist who just happens to be working with some big in the industry.
After years of struggle,
it's always getting hooked up with these labels or these artists or this publishing company or... Oh, God. Okay.
As an independent musician, he finally succeeds. And to follow this poetic note, it appears that the new Heather is spending some time at the CYRAXX household, as we have footage of her from around this time, kissing CYRAXX and fighting trolls alongside him. It is shocking to see that Heather physically chokes and coughs upon kissing.
Wait, what the fuck? What the fuck is happening here?
Kissing what has been dubbed by the trolls the trench mouth. However, good times don't always last. I believe that October of 2019 is the most accurate time frame for the rise of CYRAXX's arch nemesis and primary troll, the King of Akron, Music Biz Marty. From what is available online, we can deduce that Music Biz Marty approached CYRAXX as someone interested in managing his merch shop, only to proceed to claim control over the merch store and play the role of a cartoonishly greedy corporate record label executive who tricked CYRAXX into signing away the rights of all of his merchandise to the evil Ram Ranch Records. In a video from this period, CYRAXX can be seen begging for Marty to stop what he's doing and pretending to cry while asking to be left alone.
You are degrading me. You're ruining my image as an artist, as a person. You are sick.
In order to play CYRAXX for a fool more effectively, he creates a false dichotomy between Ram Ranch Records and Bender Boys Records, which he was also indirectly in control of. It becomes very difficult to verify whether this manifestation of the Bender Boys has any direct relation to the previous one, and how exactly CYRAXX's relationship with the Juggernaut ended, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter that much. This period was rife with CYRAXX's participations on the Juggalo show, including one where he appears to be freestyling a diss track on Marty, who is also in the call, while a Juggalette and member of IP2 named Gucci's twerks to his bars. You could not make this up if you tried to. In early November, the setup concocted by Marty and the Bender Boys comes into play, as CYRAXX is convinced he has successfully escaped the talons of Ram Ranch Records by joining the Bender Boys label. Despite this taking place only a couple of weeks after his supposed signing to Juggernaut, after believing he joined the Bender Boys, he delivered one of, if not the funniest moment during the entirety of the CYRAXX story. To celebrate it, he posts a video wearing what looks to be an oversized pleather jacket and sunglasses, all of which is juxtaposed against the regular scenario of his insane asylum white-walled containment zone he calls a bedroom. He begins the video by drinking some kind of clearly non-alcoholic beige fluid, as if it were champagne, before proceeding to give shout-outs to any and every person he's ever interacted with, like he was receiving a Grammy. Another noticeable thing is the change in his affectation. He puts on a slightly New York accent with Ebonics to go with it.
I figured I'd come in, celebrate, kick it, chill. Got a brand new dope track dropping with some of the homies.
CYRAXX can also be seen visibly calculating the best moments for him to take off his sunglasses dramatically, and he does it when he decides to talk about how the deal with BBR will help him take care of his kids. He obviously does not have, and I'm not even sure he's physiologically capable of having, kids, and what he's referring to here are new Heather's kids.
Doesn't he have, like, an infected penis for most of this? That's what I've heard. We haven't gotten to that part yet, or I don't know if we're gonna get to that part, but that's what I've heard around the internet. I don't know if it's true.
But we'll explain that part in a little bit. Eventually, he's joined on a stream by someone with whom he's planning to drop a song, and we later learn that dropping a song and music video was a part of his contract with BBR. The song comes out, and it sounds like you'd expect it to.
Let's go.
And now, the other shoe drops. Alleging that his single underperformed terribly, Bender Boys Records called CYRAXX up to deliver some bad news.
Yo, CYRAXX, I got an announcement to make. The video's not doing as well as we thought it was going to. Speaking with the team here at Bender Boys Records, they deemed you unmanageable.
How?
We had to sell your contract, man.
Wait, what the fuck? Are you serious right now?
We sold it.
There it is. There's the prime, like, lol cow milk.
For nothing? Are you serious right now? Bro, you're fucking stupid. I put in all that hard work for you and the crew for what?
Do you want to know who we sold it to?
I already know. Music. You already fucking come back.
As of that day onward, CYRAXX and his music were the intellectual property of none other than Music Biz Marty, and things can only get worse from there. Due to Heather's very close involvement with CYRAXX's online presence, she was often seen alongside him during his live streams, which was CYRAXX's main vehicle of communication at this point. While it didn't look like she was very interested in Chance as a romantic partner, perhaps the attention he got online, even if negative, was her motive. And if it was attention she was after, she definitely got it. On November 22nd, one of CYRAXX's anonymous trolls makes a phone call reporting that Chance was being mean and violent to Heather, taking her phone by force and refusing to give it back. The results of this call have been archived since the police showed up at the house during another one of the Juggalo congregations, prompting CYRAXX to immediately tell Heather to follow him upstairs, also known as the Goblin Hideout, for whenever someone visits his house. The police were told that they were sleeping and that the call was a prank. However, 3 days later, that call prophetically came true, as on the 25th another police report was filed, this time by someone named Mike. In it, Chance is described as hitting his girlfriend during a live stream on YouTube, but I haven't managed to find any video to match that specific date. When the police arrived at the location, the two were spoken with and claimed there was no occurrence. Given the lack of hard evidence, we can presume that Chance did no such thing. I mean, just months before posting, he was posting videos to his Facebook about how a man that lays his hands on a woman is a coward. There's no way he was projecting, right? Well, a day after, during a live stream Heather was a part of, where she was talking to one of the people following the CYRAXX story. CYRAXX himself eventually intervenes and is seen attempting to yank the phone out of Heather's hand violently, which some saw as an overly aggressive action. The same day, a troll once again made a call to Akron PD to report what had happened, and they conducted a welfare check. Not only do we have what was on the police report, which claimed Heather was acknowledging Chance's abuse to the person she was like.
I have come home and I have stood at the base of the steps just dreading the 40 stairs that I have to climb up, and there's 40 because I've counted them. When you're not healthy, it's hard to be happy.
You never want to just video
and I'm a
somebody in
supernatural
VR.
athlete.
Live streaming with. We also have the phone call made by the troll.
Chance Wilkins, Chance J. Wilkins, he's a 28 or 29-year-old man. He had struck his girlfriend, Heather Porter, who is currently pregnant.
Just 2 days later, the same person Heather was talking to on the live stream was investigating further into her lore and ended up interviewing Jessica, Heather's former wife. Man, things just get more and more complicated, don't they? It turns out that Heather left her wife with their 2 kids in order to link up with DJ Shadowblade. As 2020 approached, it became clear that any semblance of humanity the tale of CYRAXX ever possessed was doomed to be extinguished by the relentless activity of malicious trolls and CYRAXX himself, of course. All of his hobbies took the backseat as he began doing nothing but participating in live streams and endlessly interacting with people, either pretending to be fans or explicitly insulting and mocking him to his face. In late December 2019, he can be seen boxing through Google Hangouts with someone named Suplex City Vlog, and it's exactly what it sounds like. January 2020 begins with CYRAXX claiming he's becoming a gamer once and for all, and considering his extensive use of the N-word, I think he's always been one. On the 4th, he loses a bet he made with fellow troll Schmecklecat that he could keep his cool against the trolls and not flip out.
I mean, at this point, it's just information hitting my face. Schmecklecat, gaming. He's had 47 girlfriends. And he's always the butt of everything. Gotcha. I mean, it's just... It is kind of like dollar store Chris Chan. I will say that.
For a week. Supposedly, losing this bet cost him $100, but I'm pretty sure CYRAXX has never even seen a $100 bill. In a video of his where he derides Jamie Nicole for her inquiries towards CYRAXX's abusive nature and Heather's past life, he can be heard calling Juggernauty Records Jugganazis, meaning he probably had a bad falling out with them, which is unsurprising since that name is closely associated with the Bender Boys. On the 12th, pictures of CYRAXX's leak via Discord. Initially, many thought they were fake, including CGC, who's responsible for some of the best archiving and documenting of CYRAXX's story. However, upon their reporting on Jamie Nicole's channel, a commenter, presumably Heather, started saying he'd been hacked and was asleep when it happened. What was noteworthy about this is that it was neither a defense nor a denial, and given how often CYRAXX and his cohorts have used being hacked as an excuse for their behavior, it's most likely a lie as well. Not only was the picture his, it was probably acquired by a catfish who persuaded CYRAXX into cheating on Heather. After all, Heather and CYRAXX were living together at this time. I'm not sure what use a picture of his willy would have been to her, especially since it was clear that they were already not on very good terms.
Oh shit, there it is.
Hit me and I'll fucking knock your lights out.
In the wake of the leak, CYRAXX says that he'll be taking a step back from being online, but in a video from just a couple of days later, he qualifies it by saying he'll only take a step back from the streams, but will continue to be as online as ever on other fronts because according to him, he comes from a family of artists and has art deep in his blood. This is cause for concern since there's only one thing he has a family history of, and it's not art. Later on in the month, Heather and CYRAXX are back to streaming, and Heather has completely hijacked the transmission, standing in the foreground while CYRAXX hovers around in the back taking her commands. The two begin attacking Jamie Nicole for her coverage of the couple's mishaps, including but not limited to CYRAXX's pictures. And once CYRAXX calls her retarded, Heather starts telling him not to use that word and tells him to go take some stuff out so she can deal with it on her own. Then, while Heather starts accusing Jamie of not being a real juggalo, which is as scathing of an insult as they could come up with, CYRAXX comes in unsolicited and starts insulting Jamie for being a lesbian. This visibly irritates Heather since she was at one point in a relationship with a woman, as Jamie had revealed. Being unfazed by their milquetoast attacks, Jamie proceeds to report on and lambast the GoFundMe CYRAXX and Heather had set up with the intent of raising money to take back Heather's kids from Jessica. Now, I'm not sure in what situation Jessica was in or if she was capable of taking care of two kids, but there's no way they would be better off in CYRAXX's house. Full stop. Either way, they would have just pocketed the GoFundMe money since legally I'm pretty sure they couldn't get the kids, and a fundraiser page could do nothing about that. When Heather wasn't around to monopolize the camera, CYRAXX made his own diss video against Jamie where he threatened to physically beat her. What an absolute class act, guys. After complaining about his private parts being posted online, having ruined his chances of ever getting a job or being signed to a label, two things that, keep in mind, had never happened up until this point, he's challenged to a fist fight by one of his trolls, Juggalo John. The story goes that John did indeed go to CYRAXX's house, but CYRAXX, as he always does, hid in the attic until John went away, and when it was nighttime, he came out and had Heather record him acting tough in front of some swing sets.
What's up, John? I'm down here.
Oh, there it is. Oh, the playground. That looks like fun.
You're talking about showing me up. Here I am ready for your ass. Your punk ass ain't show up.
His next move is to try to take down Music Biz Marty and his merch store by claiming that he owns copyright on his work, which is very ironic considering that all the artwork is stolen, of course. A day after publicly defending her honor and saying that Heather is the greatest mother in the world, Heather calls the cops to report people threatening CYRAXX online. The modern Romeo and Juliet. A few days later, CYRAXX made a fake account on YouTube called Shadow King, and using a voice changer, he starts pretending to be an impartial third party who happens to defend CYRAXX and
friends would walk up to me and just be like, what the f is in your mug? And I would just tell them, it's mud. I was drinking tons of coffee. I was jittery, I was anxious. It became really obvious to me that my coffee addiction was...
I don't like coffee. It tastes like fucking
and Heather against the trolls. On another video from February, he reveals that Jessica has apparently charged CYRAXX with civil assault, though it's unsure what for. He uses this, along with the trolls, as an excuse as to why he's unemployed, blaming the trolls for your personal failures, another great lolcow classic. In order to exact justice for what had been done to him, he challenges Marty and his other trolls to step up to the mic and rap battle him. However, upon failing time and time again to defeat the trolls, he decides to step away from social media to focus on his artwork, and he claims it's somehow related to a book his great-grandmother released, making him realize he needs to focus more on being an artist. But, given what he had just said, following this video, he actually managed to spend exactly 1 month away from his social media. But it's more likely that Sally grounded him for a month with no access. On the 15th of March, he comes back guns blazing, accusing Jessica of being a kidnapper for not letting Heather and CYRAXX raise her 2 kids. After this, there's another long break from archive videos, probably due to another punitive measure from Sally, who is beginning to realize CYRAXX could get in some serious trouble for constantly making allegations like that online. After this, he only resurges in May to give his final farewell to YouTube due to the cyberbullying he's undergoing. He's now under the name of Scarface with an X in the middle, and is visibly inhabiting the basement. He also announces a new label, and the first thing he makes sure to establish is how he'll be taking 30% of his artist income, despite not being interested in establishing anything.
And a worrying questions.
However, soon after, he basically admits that his entire family is telling him to stop being online, and he reiterates this 2 days later. But just 3 days later, he comes back, declaring he's now officially an e-racer because a retired professional motorcycle racer said he's really good at Forza Horizon. Another 3 days later, he comes back to tell everyone that his relationship with Heather was officially over. While he explains it in a way that's favorable to him, it's clear even through his retelling that he was threatening to hurt himself in a manipulative way. And when she didn't budge because she knew he was incapable of such a thing, he posted a video online crying about the incident, claiming that she's heartless. I should make a note here that he's just making a crying voice and turn the lights off so it would be less noticeable that he's not crying. Just a day later, he's back doing his usual gimmick.
Heather, Heather, Heather. When are you gonna learn, little girl, that calling you out on your bullshit like I did last night, that's not a threat? I did not threaten you in any way, shape, or form.
Again, CYRAXX is the master of inadvertently telling on himself, and from the video, we can gather that Heather is alleging he's been threatening her. Maybe he noticed that trying to intimidate Heather with his WWE persona made him look bad, so the very same day he goes back to pretending to cry in the dark about the incident. Right after, he makes another video wherein he admits to having gotten physical with her at least once, meaning he is officially back to his domestic violence arc. In the immediate follow-up, we discover that CYRAXX is an MO. He tries to choke people out, and then when he gets in trouble for it, he claims he blacked out and did it while unconscious, which is apparently what he did to his grandmother in 2012.
I blacked out and hurt you one time.
That's new information. I don't think we've heard about that.
I had my hand like this around you. It wasn't tight enough to choke you out either.
A day later, he posts this.
It appears to me that some of you think I lost my edge. Some of you think that I became weak, and you guys were right. I did lose my edge, but guess what? I'm getting my edge back. That volatile, dark, evil music that I used to record is coming back. And guess who my first victim's gonna be? Yam Ranch Records.
On the same day, an assault was reported, and CYRAXX goes quiet for a little over a month. The details of the report show that CYRAXX assaulted Heather's brother, Michael, by punching him 3 times as he helped her move out of his house. During the latter half of June, he's back to live streaming, and in a moment in which his mom is briefly seen on camera, CYRAXX covers the cam and attempts to complain about it, to which she responds with a magnanimous,
"Well, that's just too flippin' bad."
On the 1st of July, he comes back again in a video titled New Look, New Attitude, New Knee, which I think was supposed to be me, probably, in which he says he's excited for the new year, despite being halfway into 2020. He's also wearing his grandmother's glasses to look more sophisticated. Then he drops a video to prove he doesn't actually steal beats, and in it, he plays the world's most horrid beat.
Take a listen to this shit.
Alright, let's hear it. What is that? Is that a...
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like hard work to me.
He then claims he's sitting on a potential multi-million-dollar contract with very serious record labels. On July 24th, he confirms what everyone already suspected. The GoFundMe they did, asking for $3,000 for court fees to get Heather's kids back, was being embezzled. While he neglects to mention what he might have used the money for, he shows that Heather bought $500 worth of wigs. 2 days later, he plays with a stick. Apparently, this is one of a long series of videos CYRAXX makes to prove that he can fight in order to intimidate Marty.
Right.
At Dabon, we take responsibility for our impact on people and our planet and everything our product touches.
with whom he's planning to have a fight.
So bring your ass on up here. Anybody that wants to fight me?
Oh fuck,
y'all
he's
know
got
my
the
address.
gloves on now.
Bring your ass up here. I may be small, but believe me, I'm the last motherfucker that you want to box with.
A few weeks later, he goes back to fake crying about people saying he steals music and acts as if him throwing a fit is fine because in his eyes, he's been very successful at keeping his emotions in. What is completely beyond my comprehension is that judging from a video from this period, not only does he seemingly have a decent microphone, he also has yet another girlfriend somehow. To add to the insanity, he starts complaining that the trolls are the reason he gave up all the gifts he would have gotten on his birthday so that his family could pay for the hospital bills that Sally had to pay due to a surgery she'd recently underwent. To bring back a Leafy classic, a 30-year-old f***ing man complaining that the trolls are the reason why and not the fact he's unemployed and won't look for a job. A 30-year-old f***ing man! On the 18th of September, he attempts to call a truce with the trolls. On the exact same day, he makes a video declaring war on all trolls for supposedly saying bad things about his military family. Mind you, at this point, he's already denounced his previous stepfather, who was in the military, for not being good enough to Sally. This is one of the clearest examples of CYRAXX going out of his way to keep his feud with the trolls going because ultimately, he simply likes the attention he gets from it. Without them, he wouldn't be talking to anyone. It'd be the void like it was back in the day. A day later, he makes another upload titled, We're All F***ed, where he attacks Joe Biden. After being put on his heels once again by the relentless troll campaigns against him, he goes back to pretending to cry and claiming that the trolls are responsible for Sally's blood pressure being high in a video titled, Seriously Considering Leaving YouTube. Throughout
CONCIDERING, considering.
For all of this, he could simply heed his mom's request and stop being online, but that's too much to ask of him. After this, there's a period of relative inactivity until late October, when he reveals his stepfather, Ed, has overdosed. Besides also pretending to cry here, many have speculated that he just made this up, either to garner pity or to get out of a rap battle he had scheduled around the same time. Later on in November, he makes a phone call to Marty where he pretends to be possessed by a demon and threatens him.
Hey Marty, why don't you go take that fucking gun, put it to your head to pull the trigger, you fucking bitch.
He tries to sound like he's a demon and succeeds in sounding like he's drunk. A couple of weeks before another catfish attempt on CYRAXX is successful, and he sends videos of himself cranking it to a fake girl named Jasmine, to the disappointment of his real-life then-girlfriend, Caitlin. Marty took this information to her, and apparently CYRAXX had agreed to take his account down and stop being online, so it was a surprise to her that he'd simply made another account and was uploading on there. After their 2-week-long relationship dissolved due to his cheating, and CYRAXX attempting and failing to hire a hitman on Music Biz Marty, Caitlin gave an interview to Marty, and CYRAXX dedicated a love song to Heather, trying to woo her into coming back to his arms. Having failed to take his life, CYRAXX takes aim at Marty once again, giving him a final warning that if he doesn't delete his channel and stop this harassment, CYRAXX will not hesitate to give the police evidence that would put Marty in jail for copyright infringement. After Caitlin and her family talk to Marty and form a consensus that CYRAXX is insane, CYRAXX makes a video claiming that it was Caitlin's idea
if people infringed on copyright got thrown into jail.
He makes a video declaring that he's finally lost his will to fight and is officially turned into a soulless demon while he whispers menacingly from the darkness. Still not over Heather a whole half a year after her departure, he does a video fake crying while saying she has his baby and is planning to put the child under custody of the state so that CYRAXX won't have access to him. In a follow-up, his way of addressing this very serious mental and emotional situation is to call Heather a dumb bitch for an hour and 15 minutes while he plays a racing game, which, by the way, is the only thing that can even be seen. He says that he called Heather about their supposed child and she denied it, but according to him, that's because she's a pathological liar and not because he got tricked into believing this by trolls. Also, just as a side note to this situation, but it's very doubtful if they ever even came close to conceiving a child, considering Heather's reaction to the trench mouth. He mentions that Heather supposedly had Sally and Ed banned from her workplace, meaning CYRAXX had his parents go and confront her instead of going himself. In a particularly creepy development, on the same day he records a video where he dedicates a freestyle to his unborn kid. After Marty says he knows where Heather is, CYRAXX threatens to beat his ass and says he could do it whenever he wants to. On the very last day of 2020, he flips out after getting a bundle of rope in the mail. 2021 begins with CYRAXX doing what sounds to be an Irish accent for no comprehensible reason.
It's your boy, Albert, to do a little bit of practice on some F1 2020.
Despite a hyperactive start to 2021, the rest of January is relatively uneventful, with February bearing some concerning news. Not only are rats sighted in CYRAXX's humble abode, but apparently his basement bed is suffering from a bed bug infestation, and it's severely affecting his health. This may be karma for the fact that, in his never-ending struggle against Music Biz Marty, CYRAXX turned to the dark side and decided to invoke the power of a very malignant political party in order to defeat him.
You gonna do some Ramstein?
Oh no. No.
After being catfished by a troll and confessing to his fantasy of eating a Snickers out of somebody's defecation station, he enters into a relationship with someone by the handle of Tangerine Cat, a long-term covert troll of
Introducing the Filter Sorb.
Marty's. In the middle of February, he threatens to shoot Marty and another infamous troll of his, Schmeckel Cat, with his stepfather Ed's rifle, who definitely did not give permission for CYRAXX to use his gun to carry out a hit. Seeing that CYRAXX was approaching the 1,000 subs mark on his YouTube channel, he started a campaign for people to subscribe en masse with their troll alts. Then, when CYRAXX started celebrating, the next move was to unsubscribe en masse to see how he'd react. This was the result.
I did have 100. I did have 1K, but that little bitch-ass nigga Marty it up.
Notwithstanding, also in February, CYRAXX gets Sally to call the cops to tell them he's being cyberbullied online, as if the cops could do anything. They can't. It's at this point that even the police, being familiar with the situation from the plethora of times they've already gone to their house for no good reason, start to show signs of being sick of dealing with CYRAXX. The report reads as follows. Cyberbullying on internet by Marty. Today they received a package with rope in it, and he has been telling caller's 30-year-old son to take his own life. There were no threats and nothing to report. He was advised that if he does not want comments on his internet live stream, to block or ignore them. Nothing I was told today was a crime, and he had no information about the other guy involved. On the 5th of March, during a live streamed call with Marty, Tangerine Cat, and a fellow troll, Lava, CYRAXX is pushed to his breaking point and decides to destroy one of the gifts he received from Lava to upset her.
You're trying to interfere in my life, you fucking hey, Lava! Jeez. I swear to God, if you don't stop, I swear to God, I will hunt you down and beat your fucking ass within an inch of your life.
God damn. Oh shit. Oh.
We all know that. Lava, you better be lucky I don't know where you live. Otherwise, you're have to be 6 feet under. And same with you, Marty. I know where you live. I know where you live,
His
Marty.
fucking face, I just saw that.
You need to go. And now,
oh God.
I've had it.
God damn it.
No, I've had it with you two interfering in my life. I'm trying to live a good life with my... No, shut up.
Dude,
I'm trying to live a good life with my girlfriend, away from the drama, but you don't want to let that happen.
He smashes an ocarina? What the
I'm
fuck?
sick of it.
Do it?
No, matter of fact, hey, Lava, see this?
No.
How do you like that? How do you like that?
Apparently, during his tirade with the ocarina, he made holes in his walls that indefinitely continued to be visible whenever he recorded videos. But the bad news simply refused to stop coming. Marty breaks the story that CYRAXX has been taken to the hospital, and the doctors discovered he developed a fungal infection on his private parts. The cause of this might be the fact that he not only neglects to wash himself after he does the deed, but also does it multiple times a day, which results in chafing due to excess friction. I'm glad I can explain this to like however many people are watching this right now. Later on the same day, CYRAXX gets on Marty's stream to berate everyone for spreading the news about his sickly genitalia.
Hey,
okay, there it is.
What the
infected dick?
Whoa!
No,
shut the fuck up, motherfucker. Hey, Marty, let me tell you right now, you ass little bitch ass nigga. You had no right doing what you did. None!
During the conversation about his medical issue, it's revealed that CYRAXX is unable to put the cream on and requires Sally to do it for him. This period is marked by some interesting police reports. After a welfare check, which informed the police that CYRAXX was threatening people online, he was advised to stay out of chat rooms. Then, the police were told about CYRAXX confessing to what he did to Billy, but no one answered when they showed up to his door. After a mostly redacted welfare check, Sally herself calls the police as CYRAXX and Ed are fighting due to CYRAXX being uncooperative. After this call is made, CYRAXX randomly shows up during another Marty stream, this time with his mouth visibly bleeding as he screams at everybody.
Let me tell all three of you motherfuckers right now, because of you three, I almost took my fucking life a few minutes ago because of your bullshit bullying!
As it turns out, he'd recently gotten into a fight with his stepfather Ed, and unlike when he's online, being aggressive and acting tough had very dire consequences. Soon after, Ed leaves due to CYRAXX's antics, which he blames on the trolls. After Tangerine Cat breaks up with him over him sending pictures of his wiener to multiple different fake girls, a new faux girlfriend comes forth by the name of Strawberry Sunshine, and Strawberry is taking no prisoners. Within a month of her work, she convinces CYRAXX to insert a stylist into himself. You'll have to take my word for this, since I obviously can't show it on screen, or you can look for it yourself and be eternally cursed. The decision to leak the stylus incident was made based on the fact that, concomitantly with his relationship with Strawberry, CYRAXX had recently sent nudes to a catfish who pretended to be a mentally challenged transgender person by the name of Cindy Lou. In classic CYRAXX form, his strategy to get back at his trolls is to start threatening to do something crazy. Hopefully that was clear enough to understand, but evidently CYRAXX was too scared to manipulate them with a real knife, so he just held a pen to his neck. And not just any pen, the accursed stylus. Props to whoever the girl is that played Strawberry for not laughing upon discovering it was just a pen. Just a day later, CYRAXX tries to do the pen routine yet again. On April 14th, he tries again, culminating in Strawberry breaking up with him. 6 days later, a video comes out of our boy proudly sucking on that same stylus. As the shtick grows increasingly tiresome, the trolls decide to up the ante. One of the troll outlets mentioned a while ago, Masshole Report, decides to play the part of a 14-year-old catfish to see if CYRAXX would bite. They presented themselves as Crystal and claimed to be suffering from bullying, and CYRAXX responded. As they chatted back and forth, Crystal sent a picture of herself, an adult decoy by the way, to which CYRAXX responded with compliments. Soon after, he declares his love for her, followed by him claiming that despite being 30, he looks like he's also 14. Immediately after, sends a picture of his disco stick. It seems like the catfish didn't plan to get the picture so soon. I won't get into too much detail beyond this, but despite believing the person he's talking to is 14 years old, he asks for indecent pictures repeatedly over the course of their conversation. After some time, probably after he told Sally,
your IT deserves an update.
No, it got real bad. Real bad, real quick.
what he was up to, and she told him how it could get him into trouble, he expresses regret and ghosts Crystal. It's likely that CYRAXX sussed out that this was going to make its way into Marty's hands, so his tactics became much more frantic and desperate. This was no fluke either, as during her investigation, Kate, the person running this operation, discovered that CYRAXX had done the same thing in 2014 when he would have been 24. In another instance, which was eventually revealed, he was briefly together with a 15-year-old named Chloe. In a cameo he made in one of Marty's streams soon after the Crystal incident, knowing that YouTube forbade any kind of nudity, he proceeded to flash the camera in an attempt to get Marty's account shut down.
Oh, there he is. He's jumping up and down with his infected dick. Alright, that's why the monkey thing was there. Why is this Marty, like, this Marty person seems to be like the primary antagonist or troll here. Why is he on the Discord call with them? Well, I don't know. I don't know, like, the inner workings on that. You'd think that that wouldn't be the issue, but, like, apparently he can come and go as he pleases, so... Okay, I don't understand that dynamic.
This is a tactic he came to employ multiple times after. After a few police reports about CYRAXX's online dealings with fake 14-year-olds, Sally called the cops over a fake picture of someone holding a firearm outside their house. To make everything even more cursed, CYRAXX's dad, now free from prison, discovers that his son is a horror cow and appears on one of Marty's streams. It seems going to jail didn't fix him, since by searching his new name, Oangus Ravenwood, a Pinterest shows up with categories like feminized soccer boys are easy to convince and boys in dresses, containing multiple images of young boys in drag. When asked about it by Marty and Schmeckel, he claimed it was for trans kid awareness. Meanwhile, after years of being on the dark side, CYRAXX turns to Christianity to fix his situation, while posting a few spoken word poems playing the victim. I suppose, due to loyalty to people of his same proclivities, he goes back to being friends with Chuck Stiegel and defends him from the accusations. Around this time, we can see that CYRAXX has begun to frequently scratch his head, which we eventually learn is due to the bed bugs biting him. In exchange for the return of his PayPal account, Marty strikes a deal with CYRAXX that the two would meet up in real life in order to square their differences. And upon showing up to CYRAXX's house, CYRAXX once again hides in the attic. After revealing during a spat with the troll that over the course of his entire career, he's made a total of just under $6 from his music, we get this.
Chance Wilkins. What does that name sound so suspiciously familiar? Maybe because your screen name is CYRAXX? What do you mean by CYRAXX? Chance. Chris Hansen here of Hansen versus Predators. To catch a predator and have a seat with Chris Hansen, I'm going to need you to have a seat right over there. Been going through some transcripts and I see some disturbing things online. You don't want to be the target of one of my investigations, Chance.
He then gets together, and engaged apparently, to a trans woman named Trisha, and begins defending her honor against trolls who are misgendering her. CYRAXX begins posting videos of himself training to fight Marty again, only to flake out a second time when Marty showed up, sending Ed and Sally down on his behalf instead. During the same stream, CYRAXX brings up a shooting that took place near his house, in which a 13-year-old was injured, and acts as if that event was actually the doing of Marty's goons, who got the kid by mistake.
Okay, because of you and your little
Fair enough.
goons. A 13-year-old little boy died today, bro. I know those bullets were meant for me.
In January 2022, he audibly fights with Sally over his obsession with the internet in the background of one of his streams. It sounds like she's telling him to get a job while he claims that protecting his family is more important, before bringing up some acquaintances of his who are in the hospital as if it was relevant to the situation. In February, he joins the Dark Side Phil Club, forgetting his stream is on while he does the deed. Despite nothing being visible,
the burst to me
I'll do you the
first.
favor of not playing the footage of it because you get to hear some audio, besides the stream of Heather he's watching to relive the good times while he cranks it. The aftermath is quite ominous. Due to another attempt from CYRAXX to stay away from the internet, Marty successfully draws him back out by pretending that CYRAXX has passed away and has been replaced by an AI, namely CYRAXX. Around the same time, another fake girlfriend by the name of Gothy becomes active, telling CYRAXX that he's losing money because of Marty and saying PBS would do a documentary on him. During mid to late April, CYRAXX's house is raided by police and he greatly embellished it to make it seem like he was in way more danger than he actually was.
But little to us,
Nearly over. 5 more minutes.
there would be 10 cops outside with guns pointed at me.
Is this like an ongoing thing too?
Hey, just go ahead and stand up. Keep your hands up where we can see them.
In actuality, they just pointed a flashlight at him and asked him some questions. It wasn't a real raid. A month later, he audibly poops himself.
Man, sometimes that's gotta happen.
To sleeping, and that's because I'm a
Sometimes you can just, yeah. You probably trusted a fart you shouldn't have.
On stream.
He shit himself on the stream. There it is. There it is.
Oh shit, oh guys, it's storming out, gotta go.
Now, a lot of people are going to pass judgment, but can you blame him? It was storming out. In June, he posts a video fake crying and playing victim, and in the same breath, he threatens to hurt people and potentially police officers as well.
Yeah,
so
I guess.
help me God. If you cops don't do something about this, I will. And trust me when I say, the end result isn't going to be pretty. People will get hurt.
He neglects to mention that the people going to his house are people he has time and time again invited over so that he could beat their ass. In October, CYRAXX's infamy grew to a point where Danny Brown, a pretty popular rapper, expresses not only his awareness of CYRAXX's story, but active interest in it as a follower.
We just find like certain people on the internet to quit, and now we got this new guy. His name is CYRAXX. He's like he's a little fucked up guy. He's from Ohio.
To say the least.
With him all the time, like he was like live streaming. He's all in his chat. He wants to be a rapper. He wants to be a. He always come up with something new. But I would say the funniest thing we did was that it got to the point like we put him so much he'd delete his accounts and be like, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. And you know, he'd always come back in like a week or something and we'd be geek. But one time he like I'm not doing this no more. Y'all ruining my life. I'm not coming back to YouTube. I'm not coming back. So then he left and he was gone for like a month. Then we all bored. We all in a Discord. How can we get him back? So we came up with this plan to say he died. So we were just all making like tribute videos to him, like CYRAXX, gone but not forgotten. We miss you so much. We love you so much.
Approaching lolcow critical mass, the one and only Chris Chan, Liquid Chris, decides to chime into CYRAXX's story.
Liquid
Chris? The purpose of this video is to call out a certain troll who is trying to impersonate me. His name is CYRAXX. And I have gotten good word from my special gal pals that this imposter.
I didn't know we would get a special.
Now. I even have the screenshot of a video someone made on him.
I had no idea. This is a bigger surprise than Darth Vader's Luke's father. Holy shit.
He's correct in defending his image and reputation because, indeed, CYRAXX is copying Chris Chan. Eventually, Chance's Facebook gets hacked for real this time, and a video is uncovered in which he's seen licking his, I think we know. In December, CYRAXX seems to have gotten physical with Ed once again, and a little while later, claims he's developed stress-related eczema that caused his feet to swell up and eventually become a full-on leg infection. In early 2023, CYRAXX gets tricked into breaking his Xbox by inserting a contaminated USB stick into it, and then Marty convinces him to do a little dance in order to get his Xbox working again. Things start to look grim for CYRAXX, who is now under threat of lawsuit from Danny Brown after accusing Danny multiple times of being a pedo. Perhaps sensing he has very little to lose at this point, he goads Marty into coming to Akron to fight him, and lo and behold, the fight does take place.
Really?
Despite this, immediately after getting beat up, he starts streaming, bragging about having at least showed up, demonstrating he was still as adamant as ever. Eventually, the two stream again, and CYRAXX tries to claim Marty almost murdered him while simultaneously trying to act unfazed. Afterwards, he tries to compete against Marty in a more familiar territory, racing. Him and Marty go for 2 matches, with each winning one. However, it's discovered that CYRAXX was using auto race during his victory, but as a 3rd match was being set up to finally settle the score, CYRAXX goes missing in action. As 2023 progresses, CYRAXX begins dating and breaks up with another girl, Jasmine. Upon their separation, she talks to Marty and reveals that CYRAXX likes to pop bed bugs and sniff them, allows mice to live in his room, and lets roaches crawl on his plate as he eats. Months later, CYRAXX reveals the Wilkinses are potentially faced with eviction and need money in order to keep their house. Then a troll visits CYRAXX and proceeds to get assaulted by him with a bat. He gets arrested for it, but is soon bonded out, and that pretty much brings us to the present. How the tale of CYRAXX will unfold next is truly unknowable, but it's hard to believe it'll get better anytime soon. Unless he gets seriously institutionalized, we can expect more of the same for the rest of his days on this earth. As much as CYRAXX never wins any exchange against his trolls, there's also no winning against him, and the struggle is in his favor because ultimately he doesn't even care about winning. I don't know if he can comprehend what winning is. Chance himself loves the attention, and he's in it for the long haul, even if it means growling at his computer monitor at people he's never going to see in real life forever until the end of time. He'll do it. I've been Turkey Tom. Thanks for watching.
All right. Well, I was happy to see Liquid Chris show back up. I think he's some kind of doctor or something now, which is good for him. It's even funnier to have him show up. I think he's the best troll. So yeah, CYRAXX. I'd say Dollar Store Chris Chan. There's not a lot of uniqueness to it. Like if you look at Chris Chan or even King Cobra, I guess he kind of has his own little shtick. But this is like the CYRAXX is like a copy of a copy of a copy, kind of warped lolcow in that way. But that doesn't really add his own flair to things other than the man's very interesting look. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. So, well, I guess we'll see what comes out of that.